If it wasn't for someone now, she really wanted to scold Pingji. Although the princess of her family is vigorous and resolute in some things, her servants are never bad. Even better than the people in the other courtyard. Therefore, she can't see these people eating inside and outside. Punishment? She is so devoted to Pingji that she is somewhat loyal. How can she punish Pingji at will? In the black and white eyes of the flower on the street, the color of ridicule is getting stronger and stronger, but others can only see a deep Wang, who can't see half of her thoughts. Qinya doesn't understand. Maidservant is more don't understand. All eyes light fall on Mo Shanghua body. Mo Shanghua said in a gentle and clear voice. Instead of being punished, he should be rewarded. In this way, Qinya, you will take the maid to Pingji's place in person in a moment. Then you will say that I saw her come out yesterday, and there was no one to put on her clothes when she was cold. There was not even a close maid around. The maid is clever and obedient. I like her very much, so I will bear the pain and give it to her. Voice light fall. That maidservant is to drop to sit on the ground. Then keep kowtow. Princess don't princess, you still kill maidservant please. At that time, Qinya understood the meaning of Mo Shanghua, and her face was a little better. She looked at her maid and said in a cold voice, if you do something you shouldn't do, you should be punished. Now the princess is out of the law. It's useless if you don't want to do it. Seeing that the maid was still crying, Qinya said directly to the little fellow beside her. Take her down quickly. The sound of crying in the house disappeared. Mo Shanghua got up and walked to Qinya, casting an appreciative look at her. Yesterday's work was very good. I'm afraid I can be alone in a few days. I can teach you. Between the words, between the eyebrows showed a little smile, not the usual sense of closeness. Qinya also bent her lips and laughed, her eyebrows and eyes bent. Where is the princess? Recently, she has begun to be human. I should be happy for the princess. Human? Mo flower lips slightly yawn, eyes across a bit of Yu glory, but avoid talking about. Let's go to see the situation of Yenji. With that he walked away. Qinya rushed to catch up with her. As she followed Mo Shanghua she murmured. I think she's in good condition. You haven't had breakfast yet. She can't forget Yenji's surly appearance. Mo Shanghua didn't answer. She walked in front of her. As soon as she walked around the front hall, she saw a maid leading Lu Zheng towards her bedroom. Lu Zheng's brow was locked, as if she had something to worry about. I've seen the princess. The maid first saw the flowers on the street, and then went forward to salute. Lu Zheng just saw the flowers on the street. Maybe he was too anxious. He wanted to go forward directly, and then glanced at the maid who was blessed in front of him. It seemed that he remembered something. He stopped and bent down. I'll see the princess. No gift. Mo Shanghua saw Lu Zheng's gesture, and she felt strange in her heart, so she asked directly. Lu Imperial Doctor is in such a hurry, but what can I do for you? Lu Zheng's eyes looked at the flowers, but he didn't open his mouth. Qinya eyes nose heart, busy pointed to the maid. You go back to do your things, do not have to wait here. Seeing that the man retreated, Lu Zheng pondered for a moment and then said, I've heard all about yesterday's events. I don't want to ask you any more. I just want to ask you, are you sure you can cure Yenji? The flower mouth on the Mo once crossed a few minutes surprised. You just asked this? Don't you hear the rumors from the outside world? Although she did not deliberately inquire, she also knew that today's external definition is gossip flying around, and she was afraid that she had long been discredited. Moreover, Lu Zheng should not be back to his home for long at this time. It's time for rumors to spread all over the place. I just came here after hearing about it, but most of the rumors are hearsay. Just take what is credible, and you don't need to listen to others. Lu Zhenglian's eyes were covered with thick and long eyelashes, and he couldn't see clearly. I didn't expect that Dr. Lu was such a thorough person. The flower's eyes on the street moved, and Lu Zheng's look could not help but supine. To tell you the truth, it's not a problem to cure her serious injury, but it's really difficult to cure her madness. Wei Chen has never heard of such a precedent. It's really tricky. Lu Zheng's brow was wrinkled, and his eyes were a little worried. He thought silently for a while, and then said, Although Wei Chen's medical skills are shallow, they are of some use. I am willing to do my best to treat Yunji's madness with the princess. Mo Shanghua looks at Lu Zheng, who has already bent down, but he is silent. After a long time he said, "It's not good for you. Not only that, it may bring disaster to you." Lu Zheng eyebrow heart is not controlled twist up. Micro-minister no. The flowers on the street are silent again. There is a little confusion in the eyes. Qinya has been with Mo Shanghua for a long time, and she knows something about her psychology. She is also afraid that Mo Shanghua will not cure Yunji and fall into the hands of Nan He. She just bites her teeth and pulls Mo Shanghua's clothes. "Princess, Dr. Lu is a doctor. I see you want to treat such well. It's natural to yearn for difficult and complicated diseases. And it's so sincere that you come here early in the morning, so you can help him." Even Lu Zheng could not help nodding his head. And there was some unknown color in his eyes. The perplexity in the flower eyes on the street disappeared a little, and nodded. "So good. The strength of two people is always better than one person. As it happens, I'm going to see Yunji. Do you want to go with me?" "Of course." Lu Zheng straightened himself up again, slightly hooked his lips and nodded with a smile. Yunji is now arranged by Mo Shanghua in the side compartment of the dockyard. After last night, she rearranges it today. There are people inside and outside the house. It's too crowded. Even at the foot of Yunji's bed. Mo Shanghua specially put a few porcelain bottles in the cupboard at the foot of the bed. In this way, all the thieves sneak in and just kick the broken porcelain bottle to save their lives. At this time, Yunji was lying on the bed, her eyes closed, and she seemed to be sleeping. Lu Zheng said hello to Mo Shanghua before he sat down on the stool in front of Yunji's collapse. He put one of her wrists on the wrist pillow and closed his eyes to feel her pulse. From the pulse condition, the chest injury is not stable, there is a risk of fever at any time, and there is too much blood loss. There is still some lack of qi and blood, but these are lighter than the disease of madness. As for the madness, I'll wait for her to wake up and watch carefully. Lu Zheng whispered to himself, and then he jammed Yunji's wrist back and got up to look at the flowers on the street. Mo Shanghua took a few steps forward, and her eyes swept over Yunji's face. Seeing that her face was a little better than yesterday, she nodded slightly. "It's really better, but if you want to recover, even if you use my special prescription, it will take at least 1 month. When it is completely stable, you can treat her madness and epilepsy in depth. After such a long time, it's time for Grandfather Wang to come back." Lu Zheng looked thoughtfully in his eyes, and then suddenly raised his eyes. "Why don't you and I apply the medicine first, so that her injury can be stabilized as soon as possible until the Lord comes back? The Lord, it should be thoroughly investigated, so you don't have to cure her madness." Yanbei City. Mo Shanghua whispered his name in her heart, and frowned a little. She knew that yesterday, Nan He deliberately showed his true face in front of her. Except for her plan, some of them wanted to reveal something to her. For example, her identity. Nanha is arrogant, beautiful and excellent in martial arts. He can't be just an ordinary brothel woman. According to the 8 trigrams Qinya once told her, she seems to have come out of Qinghuan Pavilion. Qinghuan Pavilion is the place where Hua Qianlu lives, and Hua Qianlu is closely related to Yanbei City. What Nan He wants to tell Mo Shanghua is about her identity. His status in Yanbei City is different. Even if she did something, Yan Beiqing would not do anything to her. But Nanha has already offended Mo Shanghua. How can she let Nanha go easily? If so, she was framed for nothing yesterday. The Lord dotes on Nanha better than me. Thinking about this, the color of the flower eyes on the street can't help deepening a few. More importantly, why should I let her go for nothing? Her face was cold, and her face was calm. When she said this sentence, it was also light, only her eyes, like a well that had been silent for many years, were quiet. Lu Zheng saw eat a few minutes, can't help but pinch his fist. The princess is a lover. The cherry lips on the street were slightly pursed, and they didn't open their mouth, neither admitting nor denying. Lu Zheng sees this, just temporarily moved Mao Guang, Hang Mao to think seriously, and Mo Shanghua, also thoughtfully inside and outside the house to check up. In the house for a moment, in addition to Mo Shanghua's slight footsteps, there is no other sound. After thinking about it for a long time, Lu Zhengkai suddenly looked up and his eyes were slightly bright. I heard in the city yesterday that there was a richest man in the Wu family of the neighboring country. Recently, I somehow got 100-year-old Jianghe. Unfortunately, the medical skills of other countries were not as good as ours. No one thought it was a treasure, so he wanted to sell it in the imperial city of our country. It's a rare medicine. It's a treasure all over the body. If it's used well, it can even live the dead flesh and bones. Down the grain. Mo on the eyebrow light CU. Seem to be some don't believe, but I have never heard of this medicine. No one has found this medicine for more than 10 years, and it's rarely mentioned in medical practice. It's normal if you don't know. However, according to my teacher, it is true that there is such a thing, but it also has miraculous effects. Lu Zheng's face is rigorous, and his words are well-founded. He seems to believe it. Mo Shanghua puts his hands on the side table consciously, taps rhythmically and thinks in his eyes. The flesh and bones of the living dead if you are born deaf and dumb, or if you are born with weak legs and feet and can't walk, you may be cured? Lu is being asked by the words of the stranger flower, so it's not clear, but he still nodded his head honestly. Reasonably speaking, it should be okay. Well, you can have a try. If you have a look at Qinya's eyes, the shimmering light in the eyes will soon return to calm. Dr. Lu, do you know where the pedestrian is now? When will you arrive? I heard that I arrived last night. As for the others, I don't know very well. Speaking of the back, Lu Zheng can't help shaking his head, slightly confused. He didn't have much interest in it, so it's not surprising that he didn't know. Mo Shanghua's hand, which tapped on the table, stopped. Her eyes looked quiet, as if she was thinking about something. A moment later she said, "In this way, you will go to the residence in the mansion to have a rest. I'll send someone to inquire immediately. When I get the news, I'll make plans. If I have a plan, I'll inform you immediately." Lu Zhengwenyan agreed with the nod. Well, that micro-minister will leave first. As soon as Lu Zhengfang goes out, Qinya steps forward and stares at the flowers on the street uncontrollably. She opens her mouth, but she doesn't say anything. She looks like she wants to talk but stops. Mo Shanghua glanced at Qinya, and then he knew it in his heart. He simply admitted it. I know you can't ask, but as you think, I really want to cure you and Qin Lin's deafness. Qinya and Qin Lin are deaf and dumb. She didn't want to cure them before, but they were both brought out of the womb. In this era, she never found any medicine that could be cured, so she has been shelving it. Qinya's round apricot eyes suddenly lit up, and the eyes were pleasantly surprised, unbelievable, and moved. Princess, how can you be so worthy of your servant and brother? The flowers on the street smell the words, but the willow eyebrows are frowning. The eyes are very serious and solemn. It's never not worth it. You two are worth it. Qinya's nose was sour, and her eyes were filled with tears, but she couldn't bear it. Princess. Mo Shanghua silently took out a handkerchief from the sleeve and handed it over. Qinya took the handkerchief, but did not wipe her face. Instead, she held it tightly in her hand and tried to hold back her tears. After a long time, she sniffed and returned the unused handkerchief to Mo Shanghua. Princess, I know you can't bear to see me and my brother like this, but if you really get this medicine and use it on my brother and sister, how about Mrs. Yun's madness? If you can't cure her, then Mrs. Nan will certainly be hard for you. Mo Shanghua takes over the handkerchief. Under Qinya's gaze, the corners of her lips gently lift a radian. If the first snow melts away, I just praised you this morning. How can you be stupid again now? You don't know whether my medical skills are successful or not. Even if there is no herbal medicine, it's not that you are not sure to cure Yunji well. So far, her eyes look micro-movement, like streamer across the general, but it is very fast, fast to no one can see. The most important thing is that I will never let Nanha bully me, and she should pay the price for her behavior sooner or later. However, I heard what Dr. Lu said. There is almost no medicine for this madness. Maybe only the herb Jianghe can be used. Thinking of Lu Zheng's flowers, Qinya is still worried and can't help reminding her again and again. The flowers on the road are still Enron, as if they don't care. Don't you understand? To me, The meaning of Jianghe is to cure you and Qinlin. Everything else is secondary. Qinya's nose was sour again. She tried hard to suck her nose. She held back her tears from the corner of her eyes and nodded. I know. Princess, are you really good? So good that I don't know what to say. Mo Shanghua was quite helpless. She gave Qinya the handkerchief and slowed down her voice. You'd better keep this handkerchief. I quietly go out of the house to inquire about the news outside. You can give Yenji some medicine later, and then go to my room to pretend to be me. Hide in my room to read and sleep. Remember, don't let anyone else in to avoid being found out. Because she doesn't go out much on weekdays, and doesn't like people other than Qinya to be close to her. It's the most reliable way to let Qinya stay in the house. Qinya wiped away the tears in her eyes and said, the maidservant knows. The princess can rest assured. After arranging all the affairs of the dockyard, Mo Shanghua changed into a man's suit and quietly climbed over the high wall of the dockyard. She moved very quickly and neatly. The spy hiding in the dark didn't even see her shadow. Pingji was drinking the new tea cooked by her maidservant, and she laughed with pride. Although she didn't commit the crime of that bitch yesterday, she was defeated by Nanji, the fox girl. I feel happy when I think about it. One of them is the most important, and the other is the most beloved in the government. How can she not be happy now that the fight is like this? Without the two of them, she was the only one of the best beauties in the palace. At that time, the Lord would naturally return to her. She was the most honorable woman in the whole Yuzhou. Think of that kind of scenery. She is uncontrollable smile. The eyes of the color of satisfaction almost overflow eyes to go. Ma'am, something's wrong. Something's wrong. It was just when she was proud that a maid hurried in at this time. And her face was a little ugly. Pingji's face immediately showed her displeasure. She couldn't help scolding. What's so flustered? It almost broke my good mood, and I can't say it quickly. Madam Hui, it's a maid from the dockyard. She said that there is no one close to you. She was distressed, so she assigned a maid to come and call it's called. The maidservant said smoothly in the front, but he stammered at the back. In any case, he could not say the maidservant's name. Pingji heart a jump, in the heart uneasy, subconsciously a little nervous grabbed down wooden chair armrest. Bring people in. Bring people in. The voice falls, C2 small C slipper. A maidservant walked in, throw maidservant on the ground. One of them said with a smile. Mrs. Ping, we princess send this girl over. There are a few words to tell. Little C said here to pause for a while. Raised head to see the facial expression of a Pingji. Temporarily some don't dare to open mouth. Seeing this, the other boy took over the conversation. The princess said that the maid, besides Miss Qin, was the most considerate and attentive of her. How do you treat her? I'll leave when I'm finished said. This just with the body side of the small C get up together, back down. As soon as they went down, Pingji's fake smile relaxed, and her eyes fixed on the maidservant who was sitting on the ground. She looked completely gloomy. The maid's face was filled with deep fear, and her body trembled even more than before. I'm not working hard. Please forgive me, madam. The more she said that, the more gloomy Pingji's face was. After staring at her coldly for a long time, she said, Has it been done? She had the answer in her heart, but she was still a little lucky. Madam Hui, I'm a slave. When I got to the house, I was arrested and arrested. Waste. Pingji scolded in a sharp voice. Her face was so heavy that she could almost drip water. Come on. Drag this cheap maid down and beat him to death. On hearing this, the maid turned pale and kept kowtowing. As soon as the boys were about to move, Pingji's maidservant quickly came forward. Madam, you can't do that. She's the one sent by the princess now. She can't move easily. I think the princess must be waiting for you to be cheated. You can't be cheated if you catch your mistake. Pingji was also angry just now, and she didn't think about it. Now when she said that, she calmed down a little. After thinking about it, her face turned from black to green, and became more and more ugly. Originally, Mo Shanghua didn't deal with this cheap maid in private, and sent it to her intentionally, not only to disgust her, but also to think of this later if she hadn't calmed down now. But the more she thought of this, the more angry she was. But she couldn't vent her anger, so she said, I'll throw this cheap maidservant away at once. Don't let me see it. The maid listened to this, but her face was not much better. But she still endured the tears. Nuonua knelt down and kowtowed. But she also knew that although Pingji didn't say anything, she would never have a good life in the future. When the maidservant was taken down and there were few people in the house, Pingji couldn't help but slap a table on the table. This bitch, I'm still restless, and deliberately sent such a person to disgust me. Seeing this, the maid quickly poured a cup of tea and served it. Madam, it's a long time to calm down. We have plenty of time to deal with her. Pingji left the teacup on the table and didn't move. Her eyes crossed a bit of hate. Bitch, wait and see. I want you to look good sooner or later. People from neighboring countries took Jianghe to pass by, which is not so important compared with other amazing anecdotes in the city. In order to get more accurate information, Chenghuan Pavilion is undoubtedly the best place. Unfortunately, it is still in the daytime. Chenghuan Pavilion is not open for business, so Hui Qianliu is not here at this time. The flower in the street remembers that people from neighboring countries are just passing by, so they probably won't stay for long. When Chenghuan Pavilion opens in the evening, they go to the tea house and ask for a small table. They drink tea and listen to the gossip discussed by the people at the next table. What she didn't expect was that the story of Jianghe was not as popular as the story of Mo Shenghua and Nanhe yesterday. It seems that this matter has become the most popular thing in Yuzhou, and it also makes her reputation worse. If Qinya is here, she will be angry. The flowers on the street seem to be unheard of. After drinking all the tea in the cup, they leave the money on the table and leave. Now that she has inquired about the news, she should go back and make a good plan. It's true that the people from the neighboring country arrived yesterday. What's more, the caravan will stay in the city for a few more days to buy dry food and other things. The man sent by the Wu family this time is Master Erfang of the Wu family. He is the most violent force. He is much better than Dafang. Thinking about this, Mo Shenghua had a preliminary prototype in his mind. After thinking about it, he went directly to a brocade shop in the name of the palace. She is very simple and low-key, but as soon as she enters the shop, the man still greets her with a smile. If she remembers correctly, the shop is under the jurisdiction of Zhang He, which shows that Zhang He is good at training. Mo Shenghua quietly glanced at the shop, nodded in her heart, and looked around. Then she got to the point. I have some old friends with your manager. Please introduce me. The man didn't think much about it, so he led the flowers to the inner room. The shopkeeper was a stranger. He was at a loss when he saw Mo Shenghua. Seeing this, Mo Shenghua directly took out a token from the palace and threw it to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper was different from the other guys. He knew it, and then he bowed down and saluted. If you are here, what can I do for you? Mo Shenghua took the token and said in a low voice, Go and ask you to take charge of Zhang Hilai. I have something to discuss with him. In addition, this matter is confidential and should not be known to others. Yes. The shopkeeper answered and called the man in a hurry to invite him. Sure enough, but a cup of tea time, Zhang He was invited to come over. If you change to Mo Shenghua direct aimless directly to find, I'm afraid not only can't find people, but also wasted time. Although the flowers on the street were dressed in men's clothes, and their eyebrows were also painstakingly portrayed coldly, Zhang He looked carefully and recognized them. I've seen a noble man. When he saw that Mo Shenghua was so dressed up, he didn't go to his mansion. Instead, he chose a small shop to meet him, so he cleverly didn't call the princess. Don't be polite. Get up. Mo Shenghua waved his hand and motioned to Zhang He to get up. I have something to tell you this time. I will do my best. Please tell me. Zhang He lowered his eyebrows and looked respectful. Before tonight, I want you to find out which drugstore in the city is going to sell, and then sell that drugstore down. The flowers on the street are calm and quiet, and their voice is as clear and cool as before. If there is no medicine shop, it's okay to have a nearby shop, but it's better to have a medicine shop. It must be set down in the evening. With that, she took out a few banknotes from her sleeve and put them on the table. This matter can't be recorded. It's all my private account. In addition, This matter must be kept secret and can't be disclosed. Zhang He saw Emo Shanghua's tone, and he knew the seriousness of the matter. He was too busy to reply. Yes, I will try my best to do it. But I don't know how to hand over the house deed and other things to you after the shop is set down. I'll pick it up tomorrow night. Emo Shanghua said in a light voice, and then stood up from the seat. These things are for the time being, and I'll give you another order. She wants to walk away, but she seems to think of something. She stops again. This shop is good, and the shopkeeper is also very good. If I have anything important in the future, I will come to you. Similarly, everything I command here must be shut up and not let out. Zhang He is a wise man, and his attitude is more and more obedient. I understand that I will strictly abide by the rules you set. Seeing this, the flowers on the street did not stay much. After looking at the sky outside, they went back to the palace. She just quietly slipped into the dockyard, and saw two maids guarding the money in the dockyard, standing with the other two maids, as if they were negotiating something. The distance is very far. Emo Shanghua can't hear the content of their conversation clearly, so she goes straight back to her room and plans to ask Qinya later. She just entered the house. Qinya quickly pulled her over. Princess, you can come back. Mrs. Ping sent someone over there. Must see you. Said that it is Mrs. Dai Ping to thank you. Chun'er Inga asked several times at the door. I didn't dare to say anything. As if she had thought of something, she could not help but be angry and said, the people over there, Mrs. Ping, are really cheeky. They have been reluctant to leave. I hate that I can't go out in person. Otherwise, they would have been sent away. It's just too Jiaonu. There's no need to get angry. You change your clothes and go out to send them away. Now you're asking the Imperial Dr. Lu to come over. The flowers on the street have never moved their eyebrows and eyes, and their faces are still without waves and waves. As she spoke, she began to undress and change her clothes. Seeing this, Qinya immediately nodded to pound garlic, and quickly hung her head to change clothes. Maidservants have long wanted to go out, so I'll go to clean them up. Seeing Qinya's urgent appearance, Emo Shanghua can't help but smile. You girl, your temper is really growing day by day. Qinya spat out her tongue, changed her clothes and went away. Chun'er Inga was still talking to the two maidservants. As soon as she saw Qinya coming, she hung her head and said, Sister Qinya. The other two maidservants' eyes flashed, and they didn't know what to calculate. Qinya learns the usual appearance of Emo Shanghua and nods. Her eyes fall on the two maidservants like a sharp edge. Your intention is clear to my princess, but now my princess is still forbidden. It's not suitable for outsiders. You'd better hurry back to Mrs. Ping. Seeing this, one of the maidservants who served Pingji next to her was suddenly restrained and said with a smile, in that case, I'd like to trouble the girl to convey her thanks to the princess on behalf of my wife. After a pause, she opened the wooden box that she had been holding in her hand. There is 100-year-old ginseng in it. Madam means to hope that the princess can get rid of Mrs. Yun's madness as soon as possible. By the way, if ginseng is not enough, there are other herbs for my wife. Don't be polite to the princess. In this way, is the princess deliberately disgusted? Qinya's pretty face suddenly cooled down, and she couldn't help sneering. We princess haven't seen anything good. We're rare this thing. You'd better keep it for your wife to cook, in order to make beautiful use of it. After all, women are always easy to get old when they are old. How can we not take good care of it? The maid choked. It seemed that she didn't expect that Qinya was so clever. After a long time she said, this is my wife's kindness. Don't let it go. You still slander me in every way. What's your heart? Qinya snorted coldly, and her pretty face became colder. What's her heart? I should ask you that. What do you mean? Is it because my wife has no one to protect her? Are you bullying us like this? Since Pingji is very kind, I'll take the ginseng. Qinya is still disputing angrily. She sees that Emo Shanghua is dressed in plain clothes and comes over with a light complexion. However, she stops before reaching the gate and does not leave the dock. See the princess. When they saw this, they saluted one after another. Get up. Emo Shanghua opened her mouth in a light voice, and her eyes fell on the two maidservants. Since Pingji is kind-hearted, I'm really hard up now. It's better to trouble Pingji to bring me more herbs. The maid's face was stiff. Then she saw the flower on the street. She took out a piece of paper full of the name of medicinal materials and handed it over. It happened that she had just said that. At this time she couldn't refuse. But when she thought of the punishment she would face when she went back, her hand was frozen and couldn't reach out. Seeing this, Chinya couldn't help but gloat. Didn't you put down your bold words just now? Why, now you dare not take them? Or your wife's words are just words? No, it's not. I'm just a little distracted. The maid shook her head, took it down with a white face, and went back with a white face. As soon as they left, Chinya couldn't help laughing. This little hoof has just been arrogant. Now it's a relief to see her eat shriveled. Mo Shanghua saw this and couldn't help glancing at her. If you are not astringent, you will suffer in the future. But Chinya didn't think so. It's not the princess you are here. Mo Shanghua has been used to Chinya's temperament for a long time, so she doesn't care. After 2 days of leisure, you're going to find Pingji and ask them for the herbs they should inherit today. Now go to ask for Imperial Dr. Lu first. Chinya answered with a smile, and went in a good mood. The following day at night, the Chenghuan Pavilion is always very busy. However, in an ordinary box, there is only a stranger and no one to serve. She had been waiting for nearly 2 cups of tea in the house, but the closed wooden door could be pushed open. A man with a greasy face and gorgeous clothes strode in. As she walked, she said with a smile, "There are some delays on the way. It's late. Don't blame me, young master." While speaking, he walked to the table. When he saw the appearance of the flowers on the street, he was infatuated. It turns out that this country is not only the beauty of life, but also the beauty of men. I've just been here for a while and I can't help it. Mo flower eyes across a touch of displeasure, slightly dissatisfied with this person's light float, but still polite to get up and clasp. In the next name Mo, I'm a young master. I'm Wu Cheng. It's reasonable here. Wu Cheng's face was greasy with laughter, his eyes were all squeezed into a gap, and then he bowed like a flower in the street. Mo Shanghua smiles a little and makes a gesture of invitation. Wu Eri, please sit down. What's the second master Wu? He's so strange. You can call me Brother Wu. Wu Cheng seemed to have forgotten his age. He sat down and opened his mouth with a smile. Mo Shanghua didn't like this kind of person, but she still had the same expression on her face. She nodded with a smile, and then called the maid in. After a while, tea and snacks were served on the table. Jiang Wu looked at the tea and dim sum on the table and the cold room. With a frown, he called down the maid who had not gone out. Only tea and dim sum. Come on, call a girl to sing a song. But the maid looked at the flowers in the street. He frowned slightly, but his face didn't change. He nodded his chin. Before the maid answered, Wu Cheng said, "These teas are meaningless. Change them into drinks." "Just a moment, gentlemen." The maid humbly accepted them one by one. Wine and food. Accompanied by beauty, the previous cold in the house suddenly swept away. Wu Cheng is full of interest, from time to time with the hum-tu songs, pulling the flowers on the street to drink. After a few drinks, he put down his wine and said, "Brother Wu is a pleasant person. I don't like to go around in circles. I'm just wasting everyone's time, so I'll tell you what I've come for." She corrected her face and then continued, "I heard that Brother Wu's caravan is going to the imperial city to sell medicinal materials, and all of them are precious. To be honest with Brother Wu, I have set up a shop recently, and I plan to open a pharmacy. You must have known that Yuzhou is located at the border, not as rich as other places, and it is short of drugs. If you do it, you will make a lot of money, and the Wu family is now the most suitable channel for goods. I wonder if Brother Wu can give me some face and sell me some? That's what I think it is." Wu Cheng was not surprised. He didn't know what he thought of, and his face was elated. "You are really short of Yuzhou herbs such as Cassia obtusifolia, Polygonum multiflorum, and other common things. I just arrived yesterday, and not long ago, an unknown imperial doctor came to ask for a high price." When the flowers in the street heard the words, they scratched a faint color in their eyes, but their face was full of helplessness. It's not only medicinal materials but also other yujo. It's not rich. Fortunately, in such a poor place, it's necessary to take medicine. If I can, I hope to have a long-term cooperation with Brother Wu. Wu Cheng has always been a surface light. When he was in the Wu family, he was often scolded by the old master. He was not as good as Da Feng. When he talked about business, he relied on the Wu family's contacts. Now it is also the first time that the Wu family has sent such an important job. His mind is so active that he wants to rely on it to become famous. In addition, he sold a small part of the medicinal materials on his own initiative yesterday. He tasted the sweetness, and his mind naturally became more and more alive. However, Wu Cheng, after all, had been educated by the Wu family and didn't agree. He still looked at the flower with a smile. Mr. Mo is a handsome boy with excellent ambition. It's just that if you want to have a long-term relationship with my Wu family, you have to look at other aspects. Mo Shanghua took out a ticket from his sleeve and put it on the table. It was mixed with the title deed of the medicine shop. It seems that it was put in it by mistake. To tell you the truth, I used to do business in Wujuan, but I just came to Yuzhou recently. I want to be a wanderer. Although I don't have a deep foundation, I don't need the most silver. The rest is Wujuan elder brother. You can also inquire carefully in the city. In doing so, she told Wu Cheng that she had the strength. Although Wu Cheng is not very successful, she went to inquire before meeting her, and she was ready for it. Wu Cheng's eyes were all on the cheek of Mo Shanghua. Now seeing this, his eyes could not help but be surprised. But it was just a moment later, and then the eyes of the flowers on the stranger were strange. The stranger is really penetrating in this respect. However, the stranger is young and not deeply involved in the world. Even if he doesn't know that business is not all enough, he needs to be more thorough. Speaking, his eyes like a nail in general, wish to nail in the flower face, how also can't move. Mo Shanghua's eyes swept Wu Cheng's greasy face and collected all the evil at the bottom of his eyes, but he didn't feel it. In this way, I'm willing to buy part of the medicinal materials in Brother Wu's hands at twice the usual price. What do you think? Twice? As soon as Wu Cheng heard this, his thoughts disappeared for a moment. He began to calculate in his mind, thinking about how much profit he could make in it, how much he could get in private, and how much support he could get from his family after he went back. His fat face was full of imagination. Although Brother Wu has been far away from the neighboring countries in recent years, he must be clear about the market price of the imperial city. The imperial city is prosperous, and there are many traders from all over the world. Moreover, when precious medicinal materials arrive at the imperial city, the price is only a little more expensive than usual. Only Yuzhou is extremely lack of such things. Can the price be doubled? The voice of flowers on the street is like magic. If there is something like nothing, it will reverberate in people's heart and turn up a little waves. Wu Cheng's mind suddenly jumped up. He drank a glass of wine and pressed his mind down. How do you know what I'm carrying is ordinary? This time, I will bring more rare and precious things than those common things. The flower eyebrow tip lightly picks a few points, a pair of extremely interested appearance. Is what rare thing? Elder Brother Wu might as well say to see, also let me understand. Wu Cheng saw that Mo Shanghua was so interested. He was so proud that he put down the wine and clapped his hands. The boy outside answered, then pushed the door in and took out a sheet, holding it in both hands. Wu Cheng raised to lift the foot to have 2 layers of fat greasy chin. Point to the direction of Mo Shanghua. The small C immediately put the list in front of Mo Shanghua. Mo Shanghua picked up the list and looked at it carefully. She was very serious. This is a list. It clearly records the medicinal materials that the Wu family brought for sale this time. At the back of the list is the intended selling price, but the price of the drugs next to it is very common. However, the top of the list is Jianghe, which is 5,000 liang, but it's just the auction price. It seems that the Wu family really values Jianghe, but they are ready to auction it. If they really need it, they are willing to take it at a sky-high price. Under such a rush, they will make a lot of profits. No business is without fraud. Fortunately, today's people are not really smart. So thinking, Emo Shanghua pretended to be surprised and widened his eyes. What's this descending grain so high price? Why don't you even know how to lower the grain? It's a rarity in the rarity. Wuqing only felt that he didn't know how to buy the flowers on the street. He was more and more flurried in his heart. It's said that this thing can live the flesh and bones of the dead. No one can say anything even if the price is raised by several thousand liang. But because it's too rare, it hasn't appeared in more than 10 years. You're too young to know. Yesterday, when the imperial doctor bought those herbs, he also looked like he had never seen the world. Yuzhou is really a remote place, and there are many local people. On the other hand, the flower in the street did not show the surprise in Wu Cheng's imagination. On the contrary, her face became very strange. She looked at him like he wanted to talk and stop. Wu Cheng naturally wondered, "What's wrong with you, Master Mo?" He said so clearly, "Is it difficult for her or not?" Mo Shanghua's eyes narrowed slightly, as if he was considering the use of words. After living for a moment he said, "To tell you the truth, elder brother Wu, although I'm in the business of medicinal materials, I also have a lot of research on medical skills. I've read no less than 1,000 volumes of medical books, but I've never seen any record of this medicine in the book, and I've never heard anyone mention it. You said it's a rumor, isn't it wrong?" "No way." Wu Qing didn't believe it. He even raised his voice a little, and looked down on it at the bottom of his eyes. "One or two of you said so. I think Yuzhou is small, and no one knows what you're looking for. When you get to the imperial city, some people will recognize you, and they are willing to compete at a high price. The flower on the street is thin eyebrow light CU. The look inside the mouth is more and more strange. Still have other people to also say so? It's the imperial doctor yesterday. He said his surname was Lu. I don't know whether his name was Lu Zheng or Lucia, or the imperial doctor. He didn't know what to do. When Wu Qing mentioned this, he was both satirical and proud. He said he wanted to save lives, but he put enough jianghe to live dead people's flesh and bones. He didn't even look at it, and bought other herbs. If he knew he had missed such a precious thing, he would not know how sorry he would have been. Dr. Lu Zhenglu? The flower on the street frowned more closely, and her voice was full of doubt. Dr. Lu came from the imperial city. It is said that Dr. Lu was a famous doctor in the palace, and his family had been practicing medicine for generations. His father had been sentenced by the imperial hospital. He was sent to Yuzhou to cure the epidemic at the beginning. Later, the epidemic was controlled. He was used to the local conditions and customs here, so he stayed. It's not too much to say that he was a miracle doctor. If there is such a wonderful medicine, how can he not know? Wu Qing only knew that Lu was the imperial doctor, but he didn't want to be so big. He was also a little surprised. How could this be possible? That boy really has such a big background. He can never be unaware of it. But they said there are so many people who know this thing in the imperial city. How can there be people who don't know it in the imperial city? No. The more Wu Qing thinks about it, the more he feels that it's unlikely. His eyes fall on Mo Shanghua again. He sneers. You must be short-sighted and don't know what's good. How can anyone not know such top things? Being said so, Mo Shanghua was not angry at all. He just said, I don't know, but if Imperial Dr. Lu doesn't know, I'm afraid no one will know. I'm afraid I may not be able to get to the capital even if I have never heard of such a thing. Seeing that Wu Cheng's face was slightly heavy, he seemed to be angry. Mo Shanghua immediately laughed and turned away from the topic. After talking for a long time, we haven't talked about the business. Let's continue the previous topic. I can take all the precious things except jianghe, and buy them at twice the price. If you like, I will continue to cooperate at this price in the future. If you don't think it's right, even if it's 3 times, you can have one business. This sentence, in addition to descending the grain, was like a small hammer falling on Wu Cheng. Although he was not happy, he could not help saying, You should make it clear first. What about when you get to the capital? Let's talk about it later. If I tell you the truth, Brother Wu, please don't turn around. I don't blame you, just say it quickly. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua hesitated. Her pupils were dark, and she couldn't see any emotion. After hesitating for a while, she said. I just think that this thing is only famous in your country, and most of the famous names are spread by mistake. Maybe there is such a medicine, but its efficacy is not so magical. The most important thing is that no one in our country can recognize your medicine. How can anyone believe your one-sided words and spend such a high price to buy it? Fart. Wu Cheng, who had just promised, was furious. I didn't get this job until I wasted 9 oxen and 2 tigers. How could it be fake? You don't know Jin Xiangyu and you're full of nonsense. I don't think we need to do this business. With that, he rose up and turned to go. Brother Wu, why don't you think about it in a different way? Maybe there's something unspeakable about it? Not yet. To the door, the voice of flowers on the street is light. So calm and profound words. Let the violent Wuching step is also a meal. Cold face turned around. Since ancient times, all the families with big family business and many children have to fight for their family business. Even the royal family will have brothers and sisters, which shows the darkness. After a pause, she picked up the tea she had left for a long time, took a sip of it, moistened her lips, and then continued. I dare to speculate that this matter may have something to do with those things. Brother Wu might as well think about it. If it looks so good and it's so simple, if it's done badly, who will profit from it? Wu Cheng's dark complexion changed little by little with the fall of the voice of the flowers on the street. It was green and white for a while, and it looked rather cloudy and sunny. Following the words of Mo Shanghua, from the time he overheard De Fong discussing the matter to the time when he was angry and couldn't cut off his beard, there was something suspicious. De Fong was always insidious and oppressed him everywhere. How could he let things out so skillfully and let him pick up such a big bargain this time? At present, the boy's speech is extraordinary, and what he said is reasonable and reliable. He can't find anything to refute. Damn, Da Fong is so insidious and calculating on him. He had already patted his chest in front of the owner of the house and promised. What could he do now? Thinking about this, Wu Cheng's fat face also showed a little helpless and resentful. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua personally brought the wine pot to the 2 glasses of wine, took the 2 glasses of wine, and stepped in front of Wu Cheng. It seems that what I expected is true. I think Big Brother Biwu is very worried now. Wu Cheng didn't answer, but his ugly face was enough to explain everything. Mo Shanghua took the wine cup and said, Actually, I offended some people in Wujuan before and couldn't buy the medicine. I'm stubborn. The more they do, the more I have to make some achievements, and I have no way to do it. How about this? I'll buy all your medicinal materials at 3 times the price, and Jianghe can also be purchased at the price of centennial ginseng. In this way, it is also a big income. You can go back and lie about selling it. In this way, you and I can win-win. Then he raised one of the cups of wine in front of Wu Cheng and said, If Brother Wu wants to drink this wine. Wu Cheng looks at the wine cup that is sent to him. It's not that he doesn't want to take it, but that there is still resentment in his heart. This kind of emotion drives him to take it for a while. Does Brother Wu still want to sell Jianghe at a good price in the imperial city? The flower face on the street was dyed with the color of a smile, quietly urging. When Wu Cheng heard the words, he was deeply touched. His eyes were so distorted by the fat. He bit his teeth and took the wine cup. Since Mr. Mo is so sincere, then Second Master Wu might as well wait. He did not finish a sentence. Suddenly a low male voice came from outside the door, and Sheng Sheng interrupted Wu Cheng's voice. Then the door was pushed open, and a black robe, with extraordinary temperament and ordinary appearance, stepped in. The flower on the street cuts water. Autumn pupil suddenly a dark, complexion tiny coagulation. Who are you? How long have you been here? She has excellent martial arts. She didn't realize half of this person's breath before. Who is he? Wu Cheng was also startled by the sudden person. His narrow eyes couldn't help but squint and looked at the man carefully. When they looked at him like this, his face was half unchanged, his eyes were long and narrow dark, and his breath was calm and introverted. His dark pupil swept on the flower for a moment, almost imperceptibly scratched something, and then recovered as before. It doesn't matter who I am. What's more, I can offer a higher price to help you through this difficulty. The following words are just to Wu Cheng. You. What do you have? Who knows what your purpose is? Wu Cheng also has some brains. He has never seen the people in front of him, and he doesn't know the details. How can he easily believe them? The man clapped his hands in no hurry, and then a man in Schwani came in with a wooden box about an inch long and half an inch high. After closing the door, he put it on the table and opened it. The box was full of golden gold, which was dazzling. Wucheng didn't take over his family business. Of course, he had never seen such a situation before. He couldn't help taking a breath. What's the meaning of this? The man looked at Wucheng with a faint smile, but there was no half smile in his eyes. These are enough for all your medicinal materials. The flower eyebrows in the street jumped heavily, and the delicate cheeks suddenly became cold. You should be a businessman, but you don't know how to come first and then. If you do this, you are robbing business on purpose. The man's smile on his lips remained unchanged, and his eyes fell on Emo Shanghua. Business is based on honesty. Girls have to hide their gender. How can it be regarded as honesty? Besides, I'm not a businessman at all. I just want these drugs to be useful. The autumn pupil, who is as calm as an ancient well, is shocked. Who is this person in the end? How can he see through her daughter's identity all of a sudden? Wucheng also suddenly turned his head and looked at the flower. He looked at the flower carefully from top to bottom. After his eyes touched the small ear holes on her round earlobe, he was also shocked. Are you really a woman? I said. Where is such a white and beautiful man? Emo Shanghua's panic was only for a moment. She soon calmed down and explained. It's inconvenient for women to act. I just came out disguised as a man. I didn't mean to hide it. If not, I'm afraid I can't get into Qinghuan Pavilion today. It's not so much a crime for this girl to hide. The man sees this somehow, also quietly helped to explain Wucheng because Emo Shanghua is a woman's identity exposure. The suspicion in the heart also reduced down. The man's eyes slowly fell on Wucheng again. However, it was the girl who broke the rules first. No matter what, just on the price, Wu Eryi should know how to choose. If you really don't want to, I won't force you. As the voice fell, the dark-clothes attendant beside him closed the wooden box again. The meaning was self-evident. Emo Shanghua's lips slightly pursed, and his eyes swept around the man before falling on Wucheng again. His face was brilliant. Brother Wu, people always pay attention to gratitude. It's me who helps you break the plot. If you leave me now, it's a bit ungrateful. She has no extra money in her hand now, otherwise, she would not use this method to stimulate. Wucheng stares at Emo Shanghua and sneers. In addition to anger, there is more lust in his pupils. Don't play this game with me. If you are sincere, you might as well serve me well. It can be regarded as atonement for your previous deception. Said he, a salty pig hand then toward Emo Shanghua's cheek stretched out to come over. Emo Shanghua stepped back, dodged Wucheng's salty hands, and put a layer of frost on her delicate cheek cage. Wu Eryi had better show some respect. It's so unwise. I'll see how you can survive without my help. Wucheng glanced sarcastically at the flower on the street, and turned to smile at the man. The fat meat on his face almost squeezed his facial features out of shape. Originally, he didn't think much about the embarrassment of Emo Shanghua, but now he only thinks that Emo Shanghua has to dress up as a man because it is a woman, and he is paying such a price to buy it. It can be said that in the end, people are all benefit-oriented. Now with better conditions on his face, how can he give up? In this way, I'd like to trouble Mr. Wu to guide us and take us to get the herbs. When we get the herbs, they will be handed over to you naturally. The man was clearly laughing, but he couldn't feel the slightest emotion fluctuation on his body. There was a layer of unexplained momentum around him. This kind of momentum makes Emo Shanghua feel faint. It seems that he has seen a person with the same characteristics somewhere, but when he thinks about it carefully, he can't remember. Until Wucheng followed the man to leave with a smile, she just closed her eyes, Lume tightly locked into a ball, eyes a little angry. It's not that she didn't want to get involved, but the situation is settled and she can't fight anymore. What's more, this person can see through her identity at a glance and almost get to the bottom of her plan. If she doubts and fights, this person can't say for sure he will directly break all her plans and make a fish out of the water. I have to say that this kind of feeling of being cut off on the way is really angry and funny. But the flowers on the street are not willing to suffer in vain. No matter who this person is, if you want to deceive her, you must give it back. Her previous silence, of course, is also for the next step. So think Mo Shanghua busy step out, found Qinghuan Pavilion bustard. The bustard is a member of Qinghuan Pavilion, who has been told more or less by Huiqianliu. Therefore, as soon as she saw the flowers coming, she raised her lips and began to laugh. Momu young master, why don't you come out of this meeting? Why don't you stay a little longer and watch the time? My young master should be back. No, I have something to deal with. I can't wait any longer. Mo Shanghua shook her head, and her voice was indifferent. My mother has been entertaining me in the hall, but I have seen 2 men in black clothes. They are all ordinary looking. One of them even carried a wooden box and just went out with me. Although these 2 people are ordinary, and they are not conspicuous in the crowd at all, one of them is holding a box, and Wu Cheng is more conspicuous. Naturally, the bustard has some impression, but it has some impression. I don't know why Mr. Mo asked. Mention these 2 people. Mo Shanghua's face is slightly positive. Please, mother, will those 2 people's faces down. Wait for your son to come back. In the matter to him, ask him to help pay attention to these 2 people. Seeing the face of flowers on the street, the bustard knew that it was not easy. Even if she nodded her head. Don't worry about it. I will tell you exactly when you come back. She is with the flower guarantee. Behind suddenly came the flower thousand willow clear voice. What things to tell me? As he spoke, he had already bypassed the bustard and came to Mo Shanghua. He bowed slightly and looked at Mo Shanghua with the usual frivolous smile on his lips. I'm here now. If you have something to do with Mo Shanghua, you can tell me directly. However, 1 yard to 1 yard, the commission should be half a cent. Hua Qianlu is the leader of Qinghuan Pavilion. His strength will not be weak. If he is taken, the advantages are far more than the disadvantages. The moment Mo Shanghua saw Yan Beicheng, she quickly measured it in her heart. She immediately grabbed Yan Beicheng's sleeve, dragged him through the hall and walked out. It's urgent, I'll talk while I walk. When Hua Qianlu reacts, his baggy robes have been pulled off his shoulders. He quickly follows him while pulling his collar. He yells, take it slow, little Mo Hua. My dress has been cut out these days. It's rare. Don't drag it for me. The flower on the street suddenly appeared in her mind. With a huge abacus in her arms, she sat there and knocked out all kinds of expenses to be compensated. Thinking of this, she suddenly released the half sleeve in her hand. Then you follow closely. Before she could spit out the last I, she almost fell on the ground pressed by Hua Qianliu's body. She quickly turned around and pushed people away. What are you doing? Hua Qianlu touched his nose innocently. I didn't mean to, but I can't help you stop suddenly because you have so much strength. The curving radian of the frown on the street was just a little flat. He turned around again and said, just follow me. I'll tell you the details later. Hua Qianlu saw that although Hua was still indifferent, she was not joking when she was a little nervous. She was not joking and followed her closely. Out of this flower street, there are obviously fewer people on the street. Only a few pedestrians are walking on the road. As a result, they did not shy away from it. They directly carried their lightness skills and speeded up their journey. On the way, Mo Shanghua and Hua Qianlu briefly talked about the matter, and their destination was Wu Chengzin. But Yuzhou is so big, plus the 2 people's previous delay of some time. When they arrived, Wu Cheng had loaded all the herbs into the car and handed them over to the previous man. The man Fong had another entourage, which was full of 3 carts. He drove away in a roofless carriage. Wu Cheng followed him and said goodbye with a smile. The flowers on the street and the willows on the street are hiding on the roofs of the houses on both sides of the street. Seeing this, they quickly look at each other and get up on the roof. On the one hand, they pay attention to the movements of several people below, and on the other hand, they follow them carefully. In the silent night, the sound of the carriage wheel rolling on the ground is very clear, which covers the slight sound of the flower stepping on the tile occasionally. The 3 people in that line are not aware of it. They just continue to drive the carriage quietly, and there is no communication between them. Mo Xianghua secretly observed the three people and noticed that they didn't communicate with each other. However, she didn't have time to think about it. It's really that her current situation doesn't allow her to think so much. She has been in this world for several months, and she has little time to practice martial arts. Although she is relaxed, she is still much worse than this man. If she keeps doing this, it will only be sooner or later. Thinking of this, her willow eyebrows slightly frowned for a few minutes. When she was worried, Hua Qianlu, who had been following her, stopped. He seemed to see the trouble of flowers on the street, and pulled the corner of her dress. When she turned around, he patted her on the shoulder. Mo Xianghua looked at his thin but broad shoulders along the line of sight, and suddenly came over. Looking at the current situation, she didn't think much about it. She just felt that in order to complete the task, she didn't show any affectation. She nodded and climbed on the back of Hua Qianlu. Hua Qianlu carries Mo Xianghua on her back, and carefully passes her hands through her knee socket. Normally, she looks frivolous, but her hands are clenched into fists at this time, without touching her legs. If other women notice this, I'm afraid they've already made a secret wish for it. They are not as careful as other women in this respect, and they don't understand the amorous feelings at all. She just stares at a line of three people who are about to turn into the alley in the street below, and whispers in the ear of Flower Willow in a flat voice, "Come on, they're going into the alley." It's really a woman. He didn't pay any attention to him. Make complaints about the thousand lose heart. He still nodded, and his footwork continued to run, and he pursued it in front of him. Clearly, it is easy to step on the sound of tiles, to the foot of the Flower Willow, but like the soft soil in general, not a sound. In this way, the speed did not drop at all, always followed the people not far or near. The three of them walked in the city of Yuzhou in a carriage. After winding around for a long time, they stopped in an alley near the north gate. Although the alley is close to the gate, it is a remote place far away from the center of the city. The residents around it are not rich, and most of them are ordinary small households. The three carriages were parked in front of the door of an ordinary household. Previously, the man's carriage was the closest to the door. He had just stopped the carriage, and the people behind the two carriages trotted all the way to open the door. The man took it for granted. He whispered to them and didn't know what to order, so he stepped in. When the other two saw the man go, they went in, took a few boards, spread them on the threshold, and led the three carriages in turn. The flowers on the street come down from the back of Hua Qianlu. They both watch the movements of the two people below with breath holding, waiting for the opportunity. After they led the carriage in, they waited for about a cup of tea. The door was still as quiet as before. The flowers on the street nodded to the flowers and willows. Flower thousand willow understanding. Two people this just light one jump, directly fell on the ground, toward that door close. Just now some distance from here, nothing to feel, now a fall in the door, holding his breath. The two eyes are a bit different color, standing in the same place did not move. Mo Xianghua thought about it, took out a small porcelain vase from her sleeve, poured out 2 milky white pills, handed one to Hua Qianlu, and left one for herself. Flower Willow took the pill, but did not eat, but in the hands of watching carefully, pick eyebrows to look at the flowers, silent inquiry. At this time, it's really inconvenient to talk. Although the flower on the street shook his head, he took out a small bag of powder wrapped in oil paper, and exchanged a look with Hua Qianlu. Hua Qianlu nodded, swallowed the pill, then suddenly stepped forward and kicked the door open. The two men in black clothes who had been guarding the back of the door were a little caught off guard. Fortunately, they reacted quickly enough, and stepped back a few steps. At the moment when the door was opened, the flower on the street raised her hand, and the white powder immediately diffused in the air, which disturbed people's sight and could only barely see the figure clearly. The smoke and dust dispersed, and the two Xuani people coughed uncontrollably. Combined with the effect of drugs, their movements were a little slow. In this way, even if the two men's martial arts are first class, when they fight with each other, they are constrained everywhere, and soon fall behind, and the more they fight, the slower they move. In the end, the man fighting with Mo Xianghua fell to the ground directly because of the effect. The man in Xuani, who Hui Qianliu was dealing with, was knocked to the ground before the medicine had time to work. making such a big noise. The man who had been in for a long time didn't come out. Mo Shanghua took out the dagger he hadn't pulled out just now, held it tightly in his hand, carefully bypassed the 3 carriages and approached the house. Hua Qianlu is still clinging to the fan, walking side by side with the flowers in the street, but it is rare in her eyes. She is serious without a smile. The sound of their steps was very light, and there was no sound when they stepped on the ground. There was no movement in the whole hospital, and they could not even detect the breath of people. Mo Shanghua pinched the dagger with one hand, pushed the door open with the other hand, and had a panoramic view of the things in the house. Step into the door. The second step has not yet stepped out. Mo Shanghua will hand horizontal in front of Flower Willow body. A light fell at the foot. Flower Willow along his line of sight to see, then see the foot of an inch of position, across a very thin silk line, should be no doubt. Mo Shanghua didn't care so much. After telling her, she deliberately pulled out the hairpin and threw it down. Such as waterfall green silk wantonly pour. The moonlight is soft and illusory. Reflecting the side face of the flowers on the street adds a bit ethereal. Beauty like this, Flower Thousand Willow for a while unexpectedly is unable to move an eye to come. At the same time when the silk thread was broken, the 2 tables smashed towards the place, and a loud bang brought their thoughts back. Crossing the broken table, before I had time to look at it carefully, a man suddenly flew down from the roof beam. His sword was strong and pointed at the Flower Willow. Hua Qianliu's reaction is very fast. He is vigorous and avoids fighting with him quickly. Both of them are excellent in martial arts, and they are equal in fighting. It's hard for others to interfere. If you don't know what to do, you just stand still and watch the battle. But after a long struggle, there was no result. So they took another bag of powder and scattered it in the air as before. But she didn't know that the man had already lost, and he would lose for a long time. As soon as the powder came out, the man's brow tightened tightly, and the killing power in his hand decreased a lot, so he wanted to escape. Hua Qianlu, who is willing to let him escape easily, has been chasing. Mo Shanghua looks at the man who has slowed down a lot, and his lips say, 3, 2, 1 dash the word stop. As soon as the sword in the man's hand is loose, he falls to the ground. Hua Qianlu wiped the sweat stains on her forehead and sighed. This boy's martial arts is not weak. He can resist injuries for so long. If it wasn't for your powder, I'm afraid he would have to pester for a while. Said his face then hung up to smile again. Small Mo Flower, you but saved my life, in the future can let me well repay is. I wrote it down. He was joking, but he nodded his head, then stepped up to the man's side, squatted down and rummaged over him. Hua Qianliu's face changed greatly and yelled, I forgot. You are a black-hearted man. How can I give you a chance to kill me? It's of your own volition, not my compulsion. In front of his chest, he turned out something wrapped in a cloth bag. When he opened it, it was exactly the same as what Lu Zheng had described. I think this person is also for the convenience of taking jianghe, so it's treated like this. The stems and leaves are damaged, but fortunately, they are still healthy and can continue to be used as medicine. He put down the grain. He thought that Hua Qianlu had just said that he was hurt, but he didn't find it when he was watching the battle. He felt a little curious, so he took a pulse in front of the man. With this exploration, we found that the person's qi, blood, heart and pulse were damaged. What's more, besides the enchantment she had just fallen into, there was also a kind of poison that could attack at any time. I'm afraid it's not easy for me to have a serious injury and be as good as Hua Qianlu. Thinking about this, I can't help but get more complicated when I see the man's eyes. How could such a person with extraordinary bearing and excellent martial arts come to this place when he was seriously injured? Did he have any purpose? Did he just want to lower the grain and save his life? But now, no matter whether it is or not, she can't allow this person to cut off his beard and fight with her. Whether this person lives or dies depends on his own fate. What are you thinking? When Hua Qianlu saw her squatting there for a long time, she didn't know what she was thinking, so she came over and stared at the man curiously. Nothing. Mo Shanghua shook her head and went out. Flower Willow did not get up, staring at the man's ordinary face, heart move, as if to think of something in general, raised his hand to touch the man's jaw. It doesn't feel as smooth and delicate as ordinary people's skin. If you look at it carefully, it's common for a man who practices martial arts all the year round to have rough skin, but he always feels that something is wrong. Just as he was about to touch the man's cheek, Hua Qingling's voice came from the courtyard. Is it difficult for the Lord to settle down here? Compared with here, I prefer to sleep in the bank. Flower Thousand Willow Hand Action Duanxia also did not think much, smiled to sing of get up and come out. After solving the current problems, they did not continue to use lightness skills. They walked leisurely on the street. At that time, the night was deep and the streets were very quiet. Only the sound of the watchman beating the gong came from time to time. Mo Shanghua's face is light, and she walks in front. Hua Qianlu shakes her folding fan, and her lips smile behind her. For a long time, Mo Shanghua stopped and turned to look at him. In front of him is the location of Chenghuan Pavilion. Go back. There's no need to see him off. Besides, thank you for today's business. Easy to say, easy to say. Hua Qianliu's lips are smiling and his eyes are clear. As soon as my son is kind to his heart, my friend's wife has something to ask for, so I'll try my best to help him. Therefore, I won't charge you this time. The flowers on the street pursed their lips, and the slight suspicions at the bottom of their heart disappeared. They all said that there is no business without fraud. Now it seems that it is true, it's natural. Hua Qianlu is not annoyed but is very popular. It's not early. I'll send you back first. After 2 days, you can come to Chenghuan Pavilion and have a drink. I think so, but let's forget about seeing you off. I'm a very weak woman. Even if I meet gangsters, it's all their bad luck. I'll be fine. Hua Qianlu helped himself, but he didn't refuse. He was not used to seeing him off, so he didn't agree. Hua Qianlu burst out laughing, not half disappointed, but joked. I forgot that you are a famous shrew in Yuzhou City. I heard that Brother Beiqing is not your opponent. Mo Shanghua was completely immune to this, and her face remained the same. She said something and went back. When she said it, she seemed to think of something in general and suddenly said, by the way, you should remember that man's appearance, right? I don't know the origin of this man. He's a bit strange. I'd like you to help me investigate him. This person is a little strange. If you don't say it, don't worry. I will visit you carefully. When Hua Qianlu thought of this person, she felt strange in her heart, so she responded directly. Then I'll come back to you on time in 2 days. The flower on the street looked at the dark sky above her head, and then turned to leave. Hua Qianlu didn't go, but stood in the same place, looking at the body shape of the flowers on the street, and a kind of unclear thought came into his quiet eyes. When Mo Shanghua returned to the mansion, it was already dark. Qinya seemed to have been waiting for her for too long. When she was very tired, she sat on the table and slept with her eyes closed. Mo Shanghua takes a small quilt and puts it on for Qinya. He extinguishes the candlestick in the room and returns to his bedroom. He takes Jiang He out again. It's not like the usual medicine. It's blue in color. It's as low as sand. Its branches and leaves are sparse, but it's the size of a palm. It looks good against the warm candlelight. However, the specific efficacy of Mo Shanghua is still not clear. I simply took a wooden box and put things away. I took the medical books and read them. I didn't go to sleep until it was about to light up. The next morning, Qinya wakes up in the small bed, looks at her clothes, and knows that Mo Shanghua has already come back. She runs to her bedroom. As soon as Mo Shanghua opened her eyes, she saw Qinya's pretty cheek. She simply stopped sleeping. She got up to dress and said, "You should not have slept well yesterday. You'd better have a rest." "I'll be fine. Don't worry, princess." "It's you, princess. When did you come back yesterday? I look at the medical books on your desk. Haven't you been reading the medical books all night, and you will go to bed at dawn?" Qinya's main concern at this time is not Jianghe. What she is more worried about is to cure her and her brother's mute and deaf stranger Shanghua. Seeing that Qinya's eyes were pure and sincere, Mo Shanghua can't help but feel relieved. "It's okay, but it's late when I come back. I've been tossing about for a long time, and I'm not sleepy. I just read some medical books. What she read last night were ancient books that she didn't have time to read. After a long time, she found a few words about Jianghe, but she still knew very little. She still needed to study them carefully. After all, there was only one Jianghe, so she had to be careful not to waste the hard-won thing. Qinya reproached herself and could not help but bow her head. Princess, I know that you are doing this for me and my brother. But it's more for my own sake. After all, if you're good, you can be my right hand. Besides, I'm not hurt. I'm not hurt. You don't have to think that the flower on the street thought about it, and then relieved. She said such warm words, but her face was still calm, no waves and no waves. Qinya was even more moved, but she didn't want to spend time on the street, so she nodded her head in a hurry. I know you are sleeping, princess. When you wake up, I will let them pass on food. Mo Shanghua shook his head and got out of bed. No need. Now let's have dinner. After dinner, you call Dr. Lu directly. I have something important to discuss with him. Qinya knew that the words of Mo Shanghua couldn't be changed, so she could only nod her head helplessly. Yes, the maid is now passing on the meal, but princess, you should have a good rest in the evening. The delicate chin dots of the flowers on the street should be placed. Qinya transferred all the people in the house, and then she went to the outside of the house to guard, leaving only 2 people on the street to discuss. Seeing no one else, Lu Zhengkai sat down at the invitation of Mo Shanghua. Wei Chen waited here for a long time yesterday, but when he went back, he didn't see the princess coming back. I don't know what trouble the princess met yesterday. Can Jianghe get it smoothly? He took advantage of Yanji's sudden illness to stay a little longer yesterday. It's past the closing time of Chenghuan Pavilion, and no one is there for fear of change. There were some small episodes, but there was no danger. Jianghe had already got it. Yesterday, that is not a smooth process. Mo Shanghua is also just an understatement. Lu Zheng was also a thorough person. Seeing that the flower on the street was unwilling to say more, he did not ask any more. He was just relieved inside. There are still omissions in such a comprehensive plan. I think the value of lowering grain is really considerable. Speaking of this, he deeply admired the wisdom of Mo Shanghua. She just went out to inquire about it. When she came back, she had already made a quick arrangement and completed a small part. But what Mo Shanghua told him was that he bought medicinal materials from Wucheng at a high price, but he deliberately avoided Jianghe and pretended not to know. Even if Wucheng didn't believe it, he would plant a seed in his heart. Fortunately, Wucheng is here, not Wu's big house. Otherwise, I'm afraid I can't cheat him at all. After all, Mo Shanghua's plan is only aimed at Wucheng, who is impetuous, stupid and not valued by his family. Wu's family is 10 times smarter than him. Otherwise, he can't get into such a situation. Mo Shanghua recalled some of the contents about Jianghe that she had read yesterday, and said softly, I read some ancient books yesterday, and I have got a general understanding of them. The flesh and white bones of the living dead are exaggerations, but they are not much different. It's magical, but there is no record of how to make medicine in ancient books, and there are no examples in previous years. That's why I'm here. Under the gaze of Mo Shanghua's eyebrows, he took out an ancient book and a yellow book from his sleeve. Isn't it? Mo Shanghua leaned forward slightly, and her eyes fell on the 2 classics. It's really something about Jianghe. Lu Zheng nodded and picked up the yellow and untitled book. However, this one should be different. This one is a medical book recorded by the master himself when he was alive. It's also his life's hard work. Lu Mei, a flower in the street, frowned and didn't reach out to pick it up. That should be very important to you. It's from the school. How can you? She was quite surprised that this kind of thing should be passed on to her disciples and never shown to others. Master, his old people always uphold medical ethics. If he can spread his medical skills, he will be happy. Lu Zheng smiles at Mo Shanghua. His eyebrows and eyes are warm. I have marked the past cases and treatment methods of Jianghe and madness in these 2 books with a red ink pen. You can take them back and study them. Time is the most precious thing. If you spend your time searching for information, I don't know how much time you have to waste. After a long time, it's hard to avoid long dreams. Lu Zheng can save her too much time this time. She really has no need to refuse. In this way, Emo Shenghua thought about it and accepted it gladly. Thank you for your trouble. Thank you very much. Don't mention it. Although I promise to treat with you, I can't help you too much. What I can do is nothing. That's enough. It's an important step for me. Emo Shenghua's face looked at Lu Zheng seriously, and his tone was more serious. In a word, thank you very much. Lu Zheng dropped his eyelashes and gave a little smile. Because of this smile, his handsome eyebrows and eyes were more moist, but no one could see that the bottom of his eyes was gone quietly, a touch of loss. By the way, what's the matter with Wu Qing now? If he discovers something wrong afterwards and comes back to seek revenge, how can you deal with it? Mention this matter. Lu Zheng's lips smile immediately gathered a lot. Emo Shenghua had thought about it for a long time, and said calmly, it's certain that he will seek revenge, but there's no need to be afraid of him. At that time, you just need to show your identity as a royal doctor in the palace, and he will not dare to do anything. After all, this is not another country. He is a person from another country. How dare he pick up any trouble here? After a pause, she said, as for me, I didn't use my real identity. I was in the palace all day. Even if he wanted to find me, he couldn't find me. As for that shop, it's just an empty shell. Let's put it aside for a while. When he went, there was no one. However, he will not be able to guarantee who is the target of his revenge. Thinking of this, her mind instantly gushed out of that ordinary man. Cut water autumn pupil micro-turn. Eyes color gradually turn thick. Lu Zheng's eyes crossed a little puzzled and could not help saying, what's the meaning behind this? Nothing. You don't have to worry about it anyway. Emo Shenghua shakes her head and doesn't want to say more. When Lu Zheng saw this, it was not easy to say anything more, so he got up to say goodbye and didn't stay. Emo Shenghua asked people to send Lu Zheng out. After thinking about it, they put away the classics temporarily and went to Yunji's house instead. The medicine on the street is extraordinary. The man and his subordinates will wake up after a whole night's sleep. When I wake up, the grain that I got without any effort is also gone. The man's face was suddenly gloomy, and the dark color in his eyes almost dripped out of the water. The air pressure in the whole room dropped to the lowest point, depressing and depressing. Two men in black knelt on the ground, their heads buried very low, and even their breath was as low as possible. The man sat in front of the collapse. His eyes were gloomy, but he didn't speak for a long time. He didn't mean to punish or forgive, so people couldn't guess what he thought. Only he knew that he was not only angry about the loss of Jianghe, but also interested in the Princess Yu from the imperial city, Lu Qianqian. Last time, he knew that she was different. Now it seems that she is different. She is resourceful. In addition, in Yuzhou the Emperor Tiangao is far away, and there is no one to control her. There is also the poison technique and martial arts. Each one seems to be telling that she is really different from before. Cough. When he was thinking about it, his throat itched, and he coughed, covering his chest. The whole chest vibrated uncontrollably, and the wound on his shoulder was also touched. It was very painful. Your Highness seeing this, the two people who kept their heads down raised their heads. The man raised his hand. Two people's voice suddenly low down, not ask more. It's not your fault that the Comer really has the advantage this time, so there will be no penalty. A man is not stupid. Now he has only these two people around him. Naturally, he won't let himself fall into a state where no one can use him. Both of them looked at the man in some surprise. After a few seconds, they quickly bent over. Thank you for your grace. How's everything I asked you to look up? The man nodded, his face recovered as usual, and he could not see the weak state that had just affected the injury. His Highness Hui, it has been confirmed that Princess Yu has been back for 4 or 5 days. King Yu did not follow him. It is said that he is still in Wujuan, and will come back in a few days. No one knows the exact time. If it's him, I used to look down on him. The man's mao color shoes one deep, the lip cape evokes one to put on the cool color. Now the time is right, there is a sudden mutiny in Yangzhou. and the strength of the people who have increased sharply must have something to do with Yanbei City. The official used to be mediocre, but his later movements were so beautiful that he was caught off guard and destroyed all his movements. At that time he felt incredible. Now it seems that Yin Beiqing is the one who really plays the role of pig and eats tiger. If he is joining hands with his princess, he may become a serious trouble in the future. What's more, he is almost dead now. He can't get out of Yuzhou, but the poison on his body is puzzling. If he attacks one day, he will surely die. Seeing that he had not spoken for a long time, one of the Xuani people hesitated for a while, but said, "Your Highness, there is one more thing for your subordinates to report. Most of the people in Yangzhou have been arrested. One of the remaining people is taking refuge, one is struggling, and a small group of people are on the run. Send someone to pick up the team and hold them down." The man Mao color sank a few minutes, silent for a while, just again way. Can drag how long is how long? Isn't this for death in this way? The two men did not mean to disobey. As soon as the voice fell, the man said, "My subordinates are willing to go." Well. The man light a Mao inside a cool thin. "Your Highness, I beg your pardon. What should I do now about your injury? All the doctors in Yuzhou City are rubbish." Xuani people mention this matter. Tone can't help aggravating, a rather angry look. The man didn't open his mouth for a long time. There was a touch of thoughtful color in his eyes. After a long time he suddenly raised his eyes, and the gloomy color in his eyes was replaced by een. In addition, he could not see the emotion beside him. Nature is still the truth, and the most dangerous place is the safest. Now that we have arrived at the tiger's den, we might as well have a look at the entrance to the tiger. Then he raised his hand suddenly, felt for a while behind his ear, seemed to grasp something, and then gently lifted it towards the front. A human skin mask as thin as cicada wings appeared in his hand. At the same time, an angular and beautiful face was exposed in the air, which was Yen Moli, who should have been in the imperial city. Through the gap of the crystal bead curtain, Mo Shanghua can clearly see the cloud Ji behind the curtain. At this time, she has woken up. She can't get out of bed yet, but now she has a childlike temperament. Sometimes she is a shrew, and most people can't be deterred. For example, at this time, a coat stood by the bed and said impatiently, "No, the princess has ordered. You can't get out of bed now anyway." When Yanji saw that the servant girl didn't comply, she suddenly changed her face. She looked at the servant girl in a gloomy and strange way. She didn't say anything until she was numb. "Madam, you talk to me like this. Come here, I'll take you down with me." Such a frightening remark came out of the strange-looking Yanji's mouth. The maid didn't doubt the truth of this. She was so weak that she almost fell down. "Yanji, you haven't lost your life. You really want to take people down? I'm afraid it's impossible." Mo Shanghua saw this, then opened the curtain and went in, speechless. The little maid was relieved when she saw the flowers on the street. "It's Yanji. She has a strange face just now." When she sees the flowers on the street, she suddenly screams. She pulls up the brocade quilt and holds a corner of it tightly. The bad guys are coming. Help, help. No, kill you, just kill you, kill you." Yanji's eyes were dull and low, and the more she said, the more excited she was. Her face was frightened and crazy and strange. In such a long time, she suddenly covered her head with brocade, as if she could be completely isolated from the outside world. Has she been like this these 2 days? Cloud Ji this side is obviously can't talk. Mo Shanghua then turned to look at the small servant girl before. Back to the princess. Since Mrs. Yun woke up in the evening yesterday, she has been dull and silly, but it is not as terrible as it is now. Speaking of the back, the voice of the little servant girl trembled. In this way, Yanji's madness is not too serious, and will be stable for a period of time. There are not many serious cases. Moreover, it seems that every time she is stimulated to get sick, it is because she's so thinking. Mo Shanghua took a handkerchief out, tied it on her cheek, covered her cheek, and then stepped forward. Before the collapse, Qinya anxiously drags the corner of the flower on the street. "Princess, this woman is crazy. I'm afraid she dares to do anything." It's better to be a slave. You forget again, how can I do a losing business? Mo Shanghua gives Qinya a reassuring look, then whisks her hand away, and comes forward to lift the brocade quilt. Ayenji screamed again, just like a frightened fawn, shrinking towards the foot of the bed in a panic. Mao Guang's panic sweeps on the face of Mo Shanghua and others. He doesn't find Mo Shanghua's face. He suddenly calms down and laughs with his knees. The willow eyebrows on the street can't help frowning. It seems that this is true. However, except that she would give Yenji a tit for tat, she didn't really stimulate her. When she was taken down that day, she didn't see any signs of madness. How could she suddenly go mad now? Is it difficult that someone deliberately harmed her during her absence? Think of this, she can't help but quickly across a flash of light. But before she has time to grasp, there is a little guy outside in a hurry. Reply to the princess. There is a distinguished guest, please hurry to meet. What kind of guest do you want me to meet personally? Mo Shanghua thought about it in his head, so he interrupted, but he turned around and asked a question. Back to the princess. The messenger said yes, His Royal Highness the Second Prince. Now he has been invited into the main hall. The little servant girl's voice fell, and the whole room was shocked. Qinya couldn't help it. She directly asked in surprise. Are you wrong? Your Highness the Second Prince has not returned to the Imperial City long ago. How could he be here? It's very important. I dare not lie. The servant girl quickly knelt down to show her loyalty. Take me quickly. Mo Shanghua feels that it's not easy, but he can't think of a reason for it. It's better to meet her as soon as possible and then make plans. Along the way, she was thinking about why Yen Moli suddenly appeared in Yuzhou, but she didn't receive any news. What made her think more was the person's intention, whether it was good or bad. Although there is worry in the flower heart on the street, it is still walking quickly. When passing by Pingji's residence, it happens that it bumps into him face to face. Pingji looked at the flowers on the street in a hurry. She was very happy. She looked at her and said, Isn't this the princess? Moor, please help me to have a good look. Isn't it wrong for me? Shouldn't the princess be forbidden in the dockyard now? How can she be here? As her maid, Moor naturally cooperated very well. Madam, your eyes are correct, and I can see clearly. This is really a princess. It's not that I'm dazzled. I'll send my concubines greetings. Pingji, this just a face suddenly blessing body salute. And then also don't wait for the flower on the stranger to open mouth. Then woo from the body. However, maidservant but clearly remember, because of Cloud G's affair, the princess but voluntarily and South younger sister together band foot. But now but regret, still can't bear lonely came out? The frown on the street was slight and indisputable. Seeing this, Qinya stepped forward and said in a cold voice, Our princess has a reason to have to come out. Mrs. Shui still doesn't want to stop here. It's better to delay time. When my wife talks to the princess, there is no reason for my servant to interrupt. Can you be a cheap servant who wants to take the princess instead? Unexpectedly this time, Pingji was a smiling face with no talent at all. She directly lowered her face and scolded harshly. Qinya choked and opened her mouth, but she didn't know how to refute for a moment. The flower on the street sees this. The cherry lips that tiny purse this just light stir up. The word is sharp. My person, how she should also be my business. Don't allow Pingji to take the place of a lesson. It is this little wench that you side, should adjust well is. Moor has always been loyal. Even if the princess is anxious to find someone to save her face, there is no need to involve an innocent person. Pingji always knew that Hua would fall down this time, so she had no scruple to speak. Innocent? I remember the day before yesterday, this little girl was making a lot of noise in front of the dockyard. I thought about Pingji's face at that time, so I didn't investigate too much. But now, Pingji, you seem to pay special attention to the rules and ethics of the maidservant, so that you don't get the reputation of being unfaithful and crooked in the future. The flower eyes on the street look at Pingji calmly, but the words they spit out seem to have sharp spikes, which makes Pingji very irritable. She pinched the handkerchief hard and let it go again after a while. She said without a smile, I'm afraid that the upper beam is not right and the lower beam is crooked. It's a pity that it's not here. Now the princess herself has gone in and out of the palace without permission, regardless of the rules. Are you afraid that this custom can't be brought up in the palace? In my opinion, maybe the whole people of Yuzhou City will fight to be like the princess. It seems that Pingji should really learn the rules. When her black and white eyes looked directly at Pingji, she felt that the development of things was beyond her imagination. Sure enough, in her uneasy eyes, Emo Shanghua looked at her very quietly, with a deep voice. First of all, there are noble guests in the house. If the Lord is not here, I am the most qualified person in the house. I have to come out to receive them during the forbidden period. You can tell me if I don't come, who is qualified in the mansion, you or the rest of the concubines. Or do you mean to make the palace a laughingstock and make people laugh? In this way, Pingji's face turned white and angry, but she still had nothing to say. She couldn't speak, but she didn't plan to stop. She simply lowered her face deliberately. Secondly, the matter of Yunji hasn't been decided yet. The position of my princess is still the hostess of the house. You are only a concubine. How can you speak ill to my princess? Don't say there's nothing wrong. Even if there's something wrong, it's not your turn to talk. Qinya, hold her mouth. You Pingji smell speech, almost gas of jump up, clench one's teeth way. You can't so punish me, I just for a moment blunder. Emo Shanghua doesn't want to pay attention to her. She turns around and orders Qinya. You'll punish me here. Later, you'll go to the main hall to find me. If you have any resistance, you'll double it. Princess, don't worry. For those who dare to offend and speak ill of others, I will not be soft-hearted. Qinya immediately and crispy should come down. Lip corners can't control schadenfreude slightly up. Emo Shanghua nodded again, for looked at the body slightly shape some servant girls to stay here, then went to the front hall alone. Seeing this, Qinya winked at the two of them. The two of them knew each other and immediately came forward to suppress Pingji. Flat G done when the flower looks pale. Struggled twice fruitless, then angry way. A gang of cheap maidservant. Quickly get away, my wife is you can touch. Next to the wood sun see. Then you go to pick and pull one of the maid's arm, shouting. You still don't let go of madam, careful your dog life. Qinya's eyes passed again, and the two remaining servant girls suppressed Moor. Looking at the master and servant who are struggling and angry, Qinya steps forward slowly. I'm just under orders. I don't dare to touch them. I have to touch them. Madam, forgive me, said the words of apology. The action in her hand is also merciless ruthlessly fell down. Left and right bow. Not long, the 10 slaps will be finished. Each of these 10 slaps is extremely heavy, and Pingji's cheek has become red and swollen. Thinking of Pingji's usual arrogance, Qinya pretends to be sorry and says, the princess has also ordered that if there is any resistance, she will be punished twice. Madame Shui and her maidservant have offended. With that, he continued to bow left and right. Pingji had no chance to scold others, so she was beaten again. Her hands were tightly fisted, and her slender nails almost pierced her palms. Her heart was filled with hatred. See Your Highness the Second Prince. As soon as Emo Shanghua entered the main hall, he saw a handsome man in Xuani sitting quietly in the main seat. Knowing this, he bowed his eyes and saluted. Princess, you are welcome. Beiqing is the emperor's younger brother of our palace. You are the younger sister. You really don't have to be so polite. Get up quickly. Yen Emoli see this, immediately put down the tea in the hand, a smile, his very gentle mouth. If it is true that it is still the same as before, the essence of clothing and animals will not change at all. The flower heart in the Mo is very cold to think, but on the face is light way. Thank your highness, just gift can't abandon, minister concubine dare not overstep. While speaking he stood up. Since this is the case, we don't insist on it. Sit down. Yen Emoli lips smile unchanged, just eyes color slightly deep, it seems to meditate on something. Emo Shanghua just sat down in the position of the next head and looked at Yen Moli quietly. However, the eye of the people, it is to let her eyes flash a bit shocked, is as like as two peas. He is just the same man who had fought yesterday. Even the Xuani bodyguard behind her is the same as the one she fought with yesterday. She has thought that this person's origin must be not simple. She didn't expect it to be taken by surprise. More unprepared is, in this way, some of her details will be exposed in front of Yan Mo Li, which is absolutely not good for her. So think, Mo Shanghua commis this just microwaves, such as quiet Yutem put a fist big stone, set off a wave. The bodyguard was obviously surprised to see the face of the flower on the street, and turned to his master. Yan Mo Li did not seem to see the general, only skin does not smile at Mo Shanghua. Success from her eyes to capture surprise, as well as deep thinking. His lips just micro can't check a few radians. What is the princess thinking so absorbed? As if he didn't know what was on his mind, he asked a little concerned. Mo Shanghua instantly returned to his senses and gently shook his head. Nothing, Your Highness. By the way, didn't Your Highness have already returned to the imperial city? Why did he suddenly come all the way? It's a long story. Mention this matter. Yan Mo Li seems to think of something. A wry smile said. More than a month ago, Miss Lu and I travel half the way, not to the imperial city, then received the imperial edict of the father. According to the imperial edict, there was a traitor in Wenjun Mountain near Yuzhou. He ordered me to go back to fight the rebellion immediately, and sent generals to send Miss Lu back to the imperial city. Speaking of this, he looked more and more depressed. I didn't want to divide up. There were so many traitors, and they were very crafty. I was defeated from the local troops, and I was seriously injured. I was chased and killed by those traitors, so I had no choice but to go here. Fortunately, they don't dare to fool around in Yuzhou for the time being. Mingming's expression is sincere, but the last sentence seems to have deep meaning, which makes her eyes move and her heart sink. Yan Mo Li is such a person, she doesn't think it will be so simple. However, it is true that he was seriously injured, and she personally explored it yesterday. As for how this wound came, and Yan Mo Li's real purpose, I'm afraid it's all related to Yan Beiqing. For today's plan, we have to wait for Yan Beiqing to come back and make a long-term plan. So thinking, Mo Shanghua was very cooperative, and his face was surprised. What happened? I've lived in Yuzhou for a long time, but I don't know that there's a traitor in Wenjun Mountain, which is only 50 miles away from Yuzhou. It's really short of my knowledge. After all, you're a woman. You're always in the back of the house. Naturally, you can't compete with people who show up every day. Yan Mo Li smile, low voice relief. However, a pair of flower-cut water autumn pupil light flash for a moment, but his face is just alienated and polite lip smile, and immediately returned to the usual indifferent appearance. Only her heart is the most clear, Yan Mo Li that sentence meaning. It seems that he can still remember yesterday clearly, which is a deliberate reminder to her. Yan Mo Li but look as usual, suddenly think of what General Mao Guang turned in the hall. How not to see the North City? To be honest with Your Highness, I went to Wujuan with the princess a few days ago. When I came back, the prince thought the scenery there was strange and different from here, so he said he would stay a few more days and have a good time. Mo Shanghua had expected it for a long time. Naturally, he was able to deal with it freely, and his words were full of helplessness. Wang Yi has always been such a temperament and unrestrained. I've been married to Yuzhou for so long, and I always see him playing outside all day long. I will repair my books later. Please come back. Don't blame Your Highness. No way. Yan Mo Li is very understanding smile. The temperament of North City this temple is also clear. Childhood he is so, always like novelty and interesting things, such a childlike heart, but extremely rare. I don't mind. The flowers on the street gathered their eyes and responded with neither humble nor overbearing. At this time, Qinya had finished the explanation of Mo Shanghua. She came in to face Yan Mo and Li Fu. Then she came to Mo Shanghua's side and said in a low voice, "Princess, things have been done." When the maidservant came, the people around Pingji had already asked for a doctor. Pingji didn't accept it before, but later she was a lot more honest. Well done. The delicate mandible of the flower on the street is a little bit, and the words are spoken in a low voice. After a pause, his eyes fell on Yenmoli, and his voice recovered as usual. Chinya, go to make arrangements for a secluded place in the mansion. I'm sending someone to invite a doctor. Later, I'll go to the Second Highness for consultation. Second Highness? Chinya was surprised. He didn't expect that this distinguished guest was such a distinguished guest. He stared at Yenemo in shock. Presumptuous. The bodyguard behind Yenemoli's body saw this, and immediately swept his eyebrows and scolded. Chinya suddenly turned back and knelt down with a poo-tong sound. I'm sorry, Your Highness. The flower eyebrow on the Mo heart tiny Cu also busily opened a mouth to beg for mercy. Your Highness, this wench has no knowledge. First time see you such big person. This is so, I go back to will teach well, also hope Your Highness don't want to care with her. Since there is no intention to lose, naturally there is no need to investigate. Go on. Yenmoli raised his hand to the bodyguard behind him, and the bodyguard immediately retreated. Thank you for your grace. Chinya was relieved, grateful to see a flower on the street, and hurried down like a frightened cat. As he walked, he could not help thinking that these two princes were ordinary people, but his bodyguards were too fierce. There were only a few people left in the house. The flower in the street has never talked much. No one spoke, so he held a cup of tea and lowered his head to drink. His eyes drooped. The long and thick eyelashes, like a fan, covered up the look inside her eyes, making people unable to see what she thought clearly. By the way, we have already sent a message to our father about the current situation. We will have to wait for some time before we can reply to the letter. During this period, I'm afraid we'll be harassing here for a while. The house was quiet for a long time. Yenmoli suddenly raised his eyes and looked at the flowers on the street. He opened his mouth with a smile and a kind face. Flying pigeons have always been very fast in transmitting letters. If they want to stop them, it's also very difficult. Coupled with his sudden arrival, the carrier pigeons already don't know where to go. In this way, although he was far away in Yuzhou, Mo Shenghua and others had to worry about his safety. Otherwise, if something happened to him in Yuzhou, he would only be put on the head of Mo Shenghua Yanbeiqing. However, it also shows another thing. He must be suspicious of Yanbei City. The color of the flower eyes on the street remained unchanged, and he said with a smile, Your Highness and the Lord are brothers, and the Lord's residence is as long as you want. I think the Lord has been busy for a long time. I'm tired. Why don't I send someone to pass on the meal first? After the meal, the residence should be cleaned up and ready to move in. In this way we are not polite. Yenmoli is very generous and decent smile. Without Yanbei City, the flowers on the street can't be talked about by others. When eating, she can only accompany each other. After a lunch, she only feels that her mouth is sour because she keeps talking. After lunch, Yenmoli went back to her residence for a while, and then she was able to breathe and go back to the dockyard to have a rest. Thinking about what's happening together at the moment, Yenmoli, who doesn't know the purpose, develops a medicine to cure Qinlin and Chinya. Yenji's illness is not urgent. She can make plans when she's almost recovered. Just two things in front of her make her frown and get a little irritable. Jianghe can't keep it for long, but it's not a big problem to have the classics sent by Lu Zheng. Only Yenmoli made her feel a little irritable for the first time. She thought that when she met Yenmoli, she had been in Yuzhou for many years, not to mention plump wings, and would not be so unstable as now. It's really eventful. Chinya brought a small celadone cup and put it in front of Mo Shenghua. With a little curiosity she said, Is the princess worried about her second highness? It's strange that he's here. How can I not worry? At the thought of this, the frown on the street was uncontrollable, and the object in front of him didn't move. The princess used to say that the soldiers came to block the water and cover the land? What's more, the second highness's intention is very clear on the surface, and there is nothing special to care about at the moment. Why do you worry too much? Just look for someone to watch carefully. Chinya sees this, the clear pupil bone Lulu turns, like this persuades. Emo Shanghua frowned and thought about it. She repeated Qinya's words in her heart. After a while, she relaxed her eyebrows. What you said is very reasonable. Maybe it's time for the soldiers to block. There are too many things in these days. I don't know what I'm thinking. Qinya pushed the cup in front of Emo Shanghua. Her eyes were full of worry. The princess hasn't had a good rest these days. I'm afraid it's because of this. It's Anshan soup. You might as well have a rest and get up to do something else. Emo Shanghua's delicate chin tiny point cast a reassuring look at her. I'll drink later, you go down first. The princess must remember. Qinya is not at ease to see her one eye, just took the tray down. Emo Shanghua did not drink tea. She got up and went to the desk. She took a piece of writing paper and flattened it on the desk. Then she studied the ink in person. She picked up a pen and began to write on the writing paper. The content of the letter is very simple, only a short sentence. The second prince suddenly visited and returned immediately after seeing the letter. Apart from that, she did not mention anything else, nor did she ask for a reply. After that, she put away the letter paper, got up to sweep the table, left the bedroom and went to a quiet place in the hospital. After looking around, she said, "Come out, I know you've been there." The word sound falls down. Two Xian-dressed dark Wei just suddenly appear, covered to go to Mao inside surprised. In front of Emo Shanghua bend over to salute. Subordinate wait for the order of the Lord secretly protect the princess. Don't know what the princess has to order. Give this to your master. Emo Shanghua was not coy, but took out the letter paper directly. One of the dark Wei stretched out his hand to take over. Very simply Lo should be. Yes, what else does the princess have to command? Emo Shanghua wanted them to stare at Yan Moli when Yan Beiqing didn't come back, but on second thought, they must be alert, so they shook their heads. The two dark guards were waiting to retreat. Suddenly, their eyes flashed and they called them. Wait, there are some effective girls in the house. She didn't believe in the power of Yan Beiqing. There were only these mysterious dark guards. He must have trained some other talents. The dark Wei hesitated when he was young, and the dark Wei next to him bumped him with his elbow, silently reminding him. Yan Beiqing had given orders before. If the princess had orders, they would try their best to finish them. Although they didn't tell them, they should obey them. Dark Wei Wu thought about it, and then said, "Back to the princess, there are several girls in the East Pavilion who are still smart." Emo Shanghua's eyes flickered slightly, his face was not clear, and his tone was somewhat tentative. "If I want to choose some of them to serve my second highness for the time being." This time, the dark Wei simply said, "You are the princess, the main house of the size of the matter. The people of the house should naturally listen to your dispatch." The shimmering light in the beautiful eyes of Emo Shanghua turned into a deep color. She nodded and let the dark guard go down. Then he immediately ordered Qinya to go to the East Pavilion to pick some smart people and send them to Yan Moli. They were called servants, but they were actually surveillance. Instead of sending people to watch quietly and being found dead, it's better to send people in a big way. The people who are trained in Yanbei City should not be so easy to show their feet. After ordering everything, Emo Shanghua shut himself up in the house again, holding the classics sent by Lu Zheng to study, and even didn't use dinner. "Sister Nanha, I'll send this letter for you, but I didn't send the princess's letter. I really don't know what I wrote. Don't make it difficult for me." The dark Wei, who has been in charge of contacting Yan Beiqing, frowns and opens his mouth. The south crane slightly raised the chin. The eyebrows increased a few minutes cool color. "How you plan to send me so again? Don't forget, in terms of status, I'm 2 levels higher than you. I really can't command you. If it's not for the sake of concealing the flaws, and for Yan Beiqing to see her friendship for him, she doesn't bring any of her subordinates. Why talk to this man now? Sister Nanha, although you are 2 levels older than me, you and I are not in the same department. I'm sorry I can't obey your orders." Dark Wei's face was a little bit cold, and his tone was a lot stiff. "It's really good." There was a touch of warm anger in the eyes of the South Crane. After a long silence, his voice softened a little, and he said with a smile, "I'm sorry, I'm just too eager. You know my friendship with the Lord. That's what it is. You don't want to see strange talent." Darkway sees this, complexion this just relaxed a few. South Crane elder sister since said so. I naturally didn't hold to don't put of reason. South Crane lips angle smile deepened a few Sue. Isinging contain autumn. You and I are always the same person on the Lord. Can you read the past love? Put my letter forward some? Darkway pondered for a moment, just way. Such a simple thing can barely do. South Crane elder sister is at ease. It's no secret that Nan he has been happy with Yen Beicheng for many years. She is in love with Yen Beicheng, and he doesn't refuse. Well, thank you very much. The South Crane immediately smile of eyebrow eyes all bent a few Sue. Usually that just like kale and flour kind of arrogance as if with the wind scattered general. Half cent also can't find, lining cheek more and more delicate. Even the dark way in the heart can't help but be in a trance for a while. Then react to come over, hurriedly say hello. Turn round to hide with the garden again. With no one around, the radiance of the South Crane's lips was gradually flattened, and the look in his eyes was completely dark. He pinched an open jasmine in the garden with hatred and anger, but in an instant, she was pinched and twisted in her population, and the juice stuck in her hands, and she didn't feel it. After a while, she released her hand, looked down at the deformed and twisted residual flowers in her hands, and said with red lips, "You'll see. I will surely make your end more tragic than this flower. And then I will be alone in the branches, protected by him, loved and laughed at your tragic ending." In the afternoon, the sun was dazzling, and everywhere was warm. Only her delicate cheek was covered by the cloak, which made her face more gloomy and cool. The night is deep, but the bedroom with flowers on the street is still brightly lit. Chinya, holding her chin and another little girl, was outside the house. Looking at the candle still not extinguished in the house, she couldn't help sighing. The princess is almost like this every day these days. How can she stand it? No, today's dinner is useless. I don't know what I'm doing now. How can I stand it for a long time? Another servant girl sees this, also followed to echo two sentences. The princess's temper is useless to persuade. How can it be good? Speaking of this, Chinya can't help but feel sad again. Remorse and worry in her heart. After all, Emo Shanghua didn't sleep at this time, so she was studying how to treat her and her brother's illness. When they heard the conversation, they didn't know what they thought. They suddenly stopped. When they raised their eyes, they were gone. Emo Shanghua in the room is now playing with a medicinal plant, not to mention the movement outside the window. Even the conversation between Chinya and Chinya outside the bedroom is not in the ear, selfless research. After a long time, she wanted to put down the herb and read the classics carefully, but she suddenly felt that there was someone behind her. Before she could react, she was hugged directly from behind, and her whole body was encircled in that person's arms. A sense of familiarity poured into her heart. Around as so, she still can't help struggling twice low voice way. "Yen Beicheng, you let me go. It seems that the princess is really true love for me. I guess it's me." In the past, Yen Beicheng's low but frivolous voice came from behind, which made Emo Shanghua's face burn and struggle harder. "You let go." Yen Beicheng was holding a food box in his hand. For fear of overturning the food box, he could only relax his hand and stare at the flowers on the street with some grievances. "I haven't seen you for a long time. The princess is so mean even in her arms. It's really sad." Emo Shanghua just turned around, but before she could answer, Chinya, who was supposed to be guarding the night outside, suddenly pushed the door and burst in. As soon as she came in, her eyes fell anxiously on Emo Shanghua. What happened? But there was something wrong. Before he had finished his sentence, he glanced at Yen Beicheng, and his mouth suddenly surprised as if he could put an egg in it. Emo Shanghua is nothing, but Yen Beicheng stares at Chinya with displeased eyebrows. "Don't you go out yet?" Chinya came back to China. She lowered her head and quickly stepped back to close the door. The little servant girl who didn't dare to go in just now came and asked curiously, "Sister Chinya, what happened inside? How did you come out again? It's nothing, but it's something the princess made by accident. Qinya's eyes and nose care, but she doesn't know what to do. As he said this, he took the little servant girl to the distance. There's no need to guard here. Let's go further. No matter how confused she was, she would not say a word more. Yan Beiqing in the house saw that someone had left, and his sword eyebrows were smoothed. He snorted unhappily. Then he took the food box to the pearwood round table, opened the food box and took out the contents one by one. It's not a delicacy. It's just 2 plates of simple cakes and a cup of hot tea. The tea is especially sweet. I came to the house so late, and there was nothing to eat in the kitchen. So I used these cushions first, and you came to eat with me. Then he took a piece of cake and ate it with great interest. Mo Shanghua came over and sat down beside him, staring at the tea and snacks in front of him, but he didn't move. How can there be hot tea in the kitchen in the middle of the night? Yen North City Mao inside rare flash a tiny light, on the face is very indifferent excuse. I want to drink tea also used to see time? When the flowers in the street heard the words, their doubts suddenly disappeared, but they still didn't move the cake. I'm not hungry. Just eat it yourself and don't disturb me. Now it's late. I'll talk to you tomorrow. She thought that the flowers on the street must have come back quickly after receiving the letter. In addition to the current time, according to ordinary people's thinking, it's time to have a good rest. With that, she got up and planned to go back to the bookcase and continue to study. Before taking a few steps, Yan Beiqing put down the cake, got up, grabbed her slender wrist and pulled her into his arms. Mo Shanghua's half-body was attached to Yan Beiqing's body. Through the thin material he clearly felt the cold air from outside. Her heart suddenly a-startle, also have no time to struggle, subconsciously then pull his wrist, plain hand puts in his pulse. How so cool. In this case it is very easy to catch cold. It's a bit chilly outside. I've always been strong. I'm not in the way. Although Yenbei's head was still so frivolous, his face was not. He can't help but droop his eyes, looking at the flower on the street who is paying attention to her pulse. Suddenly his heart moves. The other hand around the flower's waist is quietly released, and his body also retreats 2 steps, not letting the cold on his body pass the flower on the street. Mo Shanghua thought that he was swept by himself, but he didn't think deeply. For a long time, her shallow frown eyebrows slowly spread. It really doesn't matter. I told you, but you don't believe it. Yen North City lips a hook, toward her show Yen a smile, pull her to sit down again. Your face this king looks is not good. What thing and wait for tomorrow to do. Now you must accompany this king to use up these snacks, accompany this king to sleep. The flowers on the street and willow eyebrows pick slightly, and say leisurely. Eat with me and sleep with me Yenbei City, what's your idea? It's not that I heard that you didn't have dinner and didn't sleep well, which is a casual excuse. Thinking about this, he crossed a dark color at the bottom of his quiet eyes. You are the princess of the king. These are your duties as husband and wife. He seems to be careless to Shangyan Beicheng, but in fact his eyes are deep, and he can't distinguish his emotions clearly. The flowers on the street suddenly choke. On the surface, it seems that there is really no problem. Seeing that the flowers on the street were not right, Yan Beicheng's deep eyes couldn't help skipping a faint smile. He raised his hand and pinched a piece of hibiscus cake to her lips. It's not too cold. Here, come and have a taste. At that time, the candlelight in the house was warm and warm, reflecting on Yan Beicheng's facial features as if it were an elaborate sculpture. The scarlet birthmark on his side face was like the setting sun on his face. It was clear and vivid as if he was alive. On the contrary, he felt that the flower on the street was not ugly, and it seemed more and more beautiful. Do you want the king to put it in your mouth? Yan Beicheng saw that she didn't swallow it for a long time. Instead, she went away and began to speak displeased. Mo Shanghua this just came back to mind, subconsciously raised his hand to touch his flat belly, raised his hand to take it, slowly eat her up. How can she not be hungry without dinner? She didn't want to go to dinner because she had put all her mind on that volume of classics, so as not to waste her time. Now it's obviously different. In Yan Beiqing's usual style, even if she really doesn't eat, he will have all kinds of ways to disturb her, so that she can't continue to study. So, it's better to treat your stomach better. Seeing that Mo Shanghua was finally willing to eat, Yan Beiqing felt inexplicably relieved and pushed the tea to Mo Shanghua. He rarely calmed down and quietly watched Mo Shanghua eat. It wasn't until Mo Shanghua had almost eaten and drank the tea that he realized that Yan Beiqing didn't seem to have taken a few bites. You brought it to me on purpose? Mo Shanghua raised her eyes to see him and asked lightly. Yan Beiqing jumped in his heart, but his face didn't change much. I just can't eat it. I specially brought it to you? I've been running all the way. How can I have such a leisurely mind? Mo Shanghua is just dull, not stupid. He doesn't believe it. He can't help looking at him suspiciously. You said that you have been running all the way, and at this moment, you must have come back quickly. In this case, how can you still have time to eat well? You see, I'm so thin. I don't eat much. Yan Beiqing smiles and cheekily talks nonsense. Mo Shanghua is used to Yan Beiqing's impudence, so he has no intention to study deeply. Now that she mentioned the matter of coming back, she asked, Did you come here quickly after you received my letter? Letter? Did you send a letter? Yan North City pick eyebrow, seem to be don't know. Don't you see? Then how? Yan Beiqing thought about it quickly. Then he thought that he got the news early this morning. Yan Moli appeared in the city and worried about what he would do in Yuzhou City. He left everything behind and rushed back. He didn't know in advance about his return. The letter from Mo Shanghua must have been sent after that. Naturally, I miss you so much that I come back quickly. Thinking of this in his heart, he hooked his lips on his face and looked at her very vaguely. What did the princess write to the king? Why don't you tell me? Mo Shanghua looked at Yan Beiqing, frowning into a group of eyebrows, not only did not ease but more tight. You this person how so strange, just refused to admit that it is specially for me to bring food, but now again and again said miss me, happy already I, is it difficult to become you are actually a man of duplicity. The phoenix eyes of Yanbei City, which had not changed for thousands of years, finally had some waves. For example, when Xiaoshi was thrown at half of them, the waves were not big, but it was also obvious that she was a little shy, and could not say a word to refute. Mo Shanghua looked at Yan Beiqing's fresh appearance. She could not help leaning forward and staring at him seriously. This is the first time I saw something else in your eyes. It seems that you are not without weakness. Yan Beiqing suddenly became more and more embarrassed. Shua stood up, raised his eyes and looked at the bonsai in the distance. This king is also an ordinary person. How can he have no weakness? He was also awakened by the word flowers on the street. It turned out that he really had weaknesses. It's not because Mo Shanghua said something so thoughtless, but she is a man. Mo Shanghua raised his lips slightly and stood up in front of him. I said, why did you always tease me before? It turns out that the fun is really very intriguing. Looking at the smile in front of him, the flowers on the street, Yan Beiqing's eyes crossed the dangerous dark on, and the embarrassment in his eyes was also pressed down. Naturally, there is fun, but it's always led by the king. Voice just fell, then a long arm stretched the flowers on the street to his arms. The flowers on the street suddenly lift their eyes, and they forget to struggle with the bright eyes just like the moonlight. Yan Beiqing was also looking down at her. At such a close distance, there was only one idea in his heart. It turned out that her face was so small that it seemed that he could cover it with one hand. There are her people, also seems to be too thin. In the future must give her a good tonic is. When the flowers on the street suddenly come back to me, they have been directly held up by Yanbei City. What are you going to do? Mo Shanghua was in a panic for fear that he would be a beast at this time. Do the right thing. Yan Beiqing knew her fear, but deliberately picked lips, ambiguous answer. Mo Shanghua's body suddenly froze. Before he could react, he was put down by Yan Beiqing. But he, a royal son born with dignity, bent down and took off her shoes. You. The flower on the street was surprised by his action and stared at him. For a moment, he didn't know how to deal with himself. I'm tired. I want to have a rest. You can go there quickly. Before returning from such tenderness and carefulness, Yan Beiqing's words brought her back to reality. Just now she was just a master of kung fu. Yan Beiqing took off his shirt and stood in front of her in a thin Chinese dress, ready to go to bed. The flower on the street saw that the trance disappeared and frowned. I don't need to rest. You can go to bed. Then he looked down for the shoes. Before his feet touched her shoes, Yan Beiqing raised his feet and kicked her shoes far away, then directly took off his boots and threw them aside, holding her and lying down. You. Mo Shanghua raised his hand and pushed his chest, his ears turned red quietly. Go to sleep. Yan Beiqing just vomited a word briefly, pulled the quilt to cover for two people, then closed his eyes, without any side action. Mo Shanghua's hand moves and looks at Yan Beiqing's sleeping face, which is so close to Yan Beiqing that she has some helplessness in her heart. I must be too tired. She whispered a word and put light action, trying to struggle for a while, only to find that it is asleep. His arm is like an iron wall, tightly around her. Mo Shanghua was afraid to disturb him, so she gave up the struggle, sighed helplessly, turned her back, and then closed her eyes and went to sleep peacefully. As soon as she turned around, Yan Beiqing's eyes opened. He looked at the back of Mo Shanghua's head. A smile flashed in his eyes. He held Mo Shanghua's hand tightly, and then closed his eyes again. A night without a dream. When I wake up the next day, Yanbei City is no longer there. Only Qinya smiles and looks at her vaguely. Qinya, did you smoke your eyes? Mo Shanghua hugs Jean Quilt to sit up. The skin does not smile of spit out of words. Not only was Yan Beiqing not angry, but his eyebrows and eyes were smiling more and more, like a new moon. Princess, do you know that the Lord came back to the city this morning, but the maid saw it yesterday, and he clearly went back last night. She did not continue to say the following words, but the ambiguous eyes were enough to explain everything. Hearing the words, the flower in the street was embarrassed. She was a little annoyed and said, the words are more and more. That day, you should stay in Wujuan and let your brother come back with you. Princess, are you angry now? Qinya was not afraid of half a cent, and she went forward with a smile. Mo Shanghua raised her hand and pressed the center of her eyebrows but said, okay, clean up, I'm going to get up. Maidservant is ready long ago. Qinya smiles, turns around and goes out for a moment, then puts the washing utensils in the room. Mo Shanghua nodded, took the clothes and dressed slowly. Qinya knew that Mo Shanghua didn't like other people's help in dressing, so the Marquis stood aside and said, after the Lord came back this morning he had a chat with His Second Highness, and then he went back to have a rest. This morning, Mrs. Ping went to see her. Can you see it? Mo Shanghua's heart moved. He asked a question that he didn't care about in the past. Qinya couldn't help but chuckle. Princess, don't worry, the Lord didn't see her at all. Mo Shanghua nodded. Then he got up and went to clean up. Qinya followed her and waited on her. She couldn't help joking. Doesn't the princess want to know the details? Mo Shanghua turned her eyes and glared at her. I've got so many things on me now. How can I have time to listen to these gossip? Do you really want to go to Wujuan for a while? Good princess, I know I'm wrong. If I don't say it, it's not. Seeing this, Qinya immediately begged for mercy and said nothing else. Qinya knows that Yanbei City is back, so does Nanha. She didn't know how to think about it. She ran out of the hospital without stopping her feet. She changed into a simple and elegant dress and knelt outside the hospital with a posture of taking off her hairpin. The little fellow who was guarding outside didn't dare to pass on the news for a long time. First of all, Nanji and Mo Shanghua are obviously falling out now. And Mo Shanghua's wrist is so determined. It's said that Pingji was punished yesterday. No one in the house is afraid of offending Mo Shanghua. Second, although the Lord likes his wife, he has just had a rest after a long journey. He is even more afraid of disturbing the Lord. His life is not guaranteed. Nanji was just kneeling. She didn't speak since she said she wanted to see the Lord. Just with the passage of time, the face is more and more white, thin body seems to be able to fall down at any time. Seeing this, he had to bite his teeth and went in to pass the news that you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.